You are a young man with no cultivation base, a complete useless in the eyes of others. Yet countless supreme masters bow before you in reverence, terrified that even the slightest displeasure might lead you to reveal their long-buried secrets, shattering their Tao hearts into dust. This is simply because you have transmigrated into the master of the Heavenly Secret Pavilion. Regardless of whose dark history it may be, you can see through it with a single glance. Thus, in your moments of boredom, you casually remark upon the private affairs of those who claim to be the greatest experts of the ages, only for the scene to descend into absolute chaos. Watching these transcendent immortals kneeling before you, sobbing like grown men who have lost all composure, you are left stunned. You hardly said a word. How could your mental states collapse so easily? 3 days ago, you were merely a fresh university graduate, and you still do not fully grasp how you transmigrated into this mysterious world, or why you were bound to a heavenly secret system. So long as you remain within the confines of the Heavenly Secret Pavilion, whether it be a stray dog passing by or a pinnacle expert, their past and future are laid bare before you, down to the very root. However, to pry into heavenly secrets outside of this domain requires payment, or rather the expenditure of heavenly secret points. This wretched system offers a store filled with everything one could desire. Divine techniques, medicinal pills, and even the secrets of the world itself can be purchased. The prerequisite, of course, is that you must have the wealth to afford them. The land upon which you currently stand is the ruins once destroyed by the Juhuang Emperor. As the system declared, within the pavilion you are invincible. Outside of it, you must act like an emperor. I invite the host to hasten the accumulation of heavenly secret points, rather than cowering like a turtle. You are currently pondering how to begin your first business transaction. Suddenly, a heaven-shaking commotion erupts outside. A thunderous crash echoes as two streaks of light descend like meteorites before the entrance, sending dust and debris swirling into the air. A young woman with a face full of fury glares at the effeminate man with a sinister aura standing before her. Yanyan, that karmic fire is about to consume you. You would be better off following me. The sinister Li Yun laughs lewdly. We shall cultivate together. You keep your life and I ascend to immortality. What a profitable trade that would be. Li Yun, if you dare lay a finger on me, do you not fear that the Yaoqi sacred land will declare total war against your Yin-Yang Joyous Union sect? Once I have drained you dry, I can ascend from the mortal realm to become a holy son. By then, who would care about a deceased saintess? Li Yun lets out a grotesque laugh and strikes immediately. Seeing that business had just arrived at my doorstep, only to be interrupted, I was forced to clear my throat. Those who resort to violence before the gates of the Heavenly Secret Pavilion shall perish. The voice was not loud, yet it resonated with an ethereal, void-like quality. The two of them froze in their tracks. Li Yun looked around, then let out a cold laugh. Who is it that hides in the shadows, feigning divinity? I have never followed rules in my life. Boom, demonic energy erupted, and he lunged toward Mu Yanyan once more. Yet, before this fellow could take even a single step, his entire body collapsed onto the ground. He looked down in terror, watching as his legs dissolved into countless motes of light and vanished. He opened his mouth to emit a desperate shriek, but not a single sound could escape his throat. A few seconds later, this man had been erased from the world. Beside him, Mu Yanyan watched, her scalp tingling with sheer dread. Only when Li Yun had vanished completely did she suppress her trembling. This junior was merely passing by. I had absolutely no intention of causing offense. I adjusted my white robes and, clutching an old book to maintain the appearance of an otherworldly expert, stepped outside. Are you the expert? Her legs went weak, and she knelt down instantly. My gratitude for your intervention, senior. I beg for your forgiveness and mercy. It is of no consequence. I do not care for idle chatter. My gaze remained fixed upon her, or more precisely, fixed upon her essence. The system reminded me that Mu Yanyan was seeking a location of extreme yin energy to sustain her life. As soon as those words were uttered, she abruptly lifted her head, her eyes nearly bulging from their sockets. How could you possibly know that? I offered a faint smile, remaining silent. I pointed to the sign behind me. She followed my gesture, reading the couplet in a daze until her gaze finally rested upon the plaque. The Heavenly Secret Pavilion is safe to enter. I do not devour humans, I simply conduct business. As she stepped over the threshold, a unique Tao aura immediately suppressed the karmic fire raging within her. This time, her expression toward me shifted completely, as if she were looking upon a celestial being. While pretending to brew tea, I summoned the dashboard. Name Mu Yanyan. Strength, peak of the Tao Palace realm. Yaoqi Holy Land. Constitution 9 in profound body. She is currently undergoing her 9th karmic fire backlash. Current status. The karmic fire backlash has been temporarily stabilized. Requirement. Must find a location of extreme yin energy to awaken. The 9 yin profound physique to eradicate the karmic fire at its very root. Tap to expand for further details. Basic information is provided for free, but future revelations will require payment. Senior, she is visibly restless and wishes to know the location of the extreme yin site. I shall answer her directly. Mu Yanyan trembled uncontrollably. Although the 9 yin profound physique is formidable, the 9 backlash cycles before its true awakening are nothing short of life-threatening. To survive, one must locate an extreme yin site where extreme cold and extreme heat coexist. I beg for Senior to show me the way out of this darkness, but if I show you the way, where is the payment? TNG Pavilion conducts business with integrity. We never give anything away for free. She was stunned for a moment before hurriedly drawing a sword. Is this high-grade spirit weapon sufficient? I glanced at it, realizing that a single high-grade spirit weapon could be exchanged for 15,500 TNG points. Is that all she has to offer? System, how much is required to query that location? Querying the location of the Extreme Yin site requires 3,000 TNG points. The host lacks sufficient TNG points to perform the query, so I turned my gaze back toward her. Young lady, this is the 9th backlash you are facing. This piece of information is a life-saving divination. Disclosing the secrets of heaven forces me to endure the backlash of the heavenly Tao. Do you understand my meaning? Senior, as long as I can survive, I shall return with the elders of my sect and present a generous reward in person. Yanyan then knelt on one knee. That is more like it. What I truly require is the patronage of the Yaoqi Holy Land. I accepted the spirit weapon, exchanged it for points through the system, and investigated the location of the Extreme Yin site, situated in the Fallen God Abyss, 3,200 miles away, guarded by a natural restrictive formation. The method to break the formation, tap to view details. The Great Elder of the Ice Profound sect will arrive at the Fallen God Abyss in 7 days to absorb the Cold Spring Spirit fluid. I recorded all the information onto a jade slip, and only then did I lift my head to look at Mu Yanyan. In light of you being the first guest of Tianji Pavilion, I will make an exception and allow you to owe me. The information regarding the Extreme Yin site is right here. Mu Yanyan accepted the jade slip, tucking it into her robes as if she had recovered a priceless treasure. Many thanks, Senior. Remember, if the 9 Yin profound body is not awakened within 7 days, even the gods themselves would be powerless to save her. Whether she lives or dies depends on her own fate. I shall waste no more breath on the matter. With the flick of my sleeve, I directly transported her out of the Pavilion of Heavenly Secrets. Having seen off this solitary guest, I immediately summoned the system. System, bet it all. Use everything to enhance my strength. The Heavenly Secret points instantly dropped to 0. Immediately after, a warm current washed through my entire body, a sensation so blissful I nearly cried out in relief. Host, Suyu, Strength, 5th level of Qi Refining. Faction, Pavilion of Heavenly Secrets. Heavenly Secret points, 0, 5th level of Qi Refining. I clenched my fists, feeling the surging power within me. This transaction was well worth the price. It is a pity customers are so few. It would be grand if more fools like Li Yun or ancient monsters who have lived for untold centuries would appear. Those types are undoubtedly obscenely wealthy. The division of Cultivation Realms, the 5 Mortal Realms. Qi Refining Foundation Establishment, 5 Mansions, Farsi, and Dao Palace. The 5 Mortal Realms, Immortal Mortal and Profound Spirit. Dharma Image, Tribulation Transcendence, Divine Treasury, and Saint. The 3 Sacred Realms, Saint, King, and Supreme Emperor. Great Earth, Heaven and Earth, and Immortal Emperor. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. Through the system's surveillance, I saw that Mu Yanyan had successfully slipped into the martial god's burial grounds. This girl's luck is quite formidable. She actually managed to find that land of extreme yin and is currently cocooned in light, her cultivation rising at a breakneck pace. I too was not idle, for a powerful figure had just arrived outside the Pavilion of Heavenly Secrets. Rumble. Demonic chi that blotted out the sun and sky suddenly descended. The once clear sky was instantly consumed by half shadow. An old man in black robes arrived, treading through the void. His overwhelming aura forced the surrounding mountain ranges to tremble. Who killed my disciple? Li Yun. The old man's roar was like thunder, causing the very air to vibrate with a resonant hum. He casually grasped at the air, scenting the lingering traces of Li Yun's aura. It was here. In the next second, the old man took a single step and landed directly before the Pavilion of Heavenly Secrets, his eyes falling upon the couplet regarding the measurement of Heavenly Secrets at the door. The old man let out a cold sneer. What arrogance! Even the great Emperor of Landling would not dare to boast so boldly. He strode into the pavilion, his eyes immediately locking onto me as I feigned focus on a book. Boy, have you seen anyone from the Yaoqi Holy Land? I slowly closed the book and looked up at him. The system interface immediately manifested. Name, Mo Yun. Strength, Peak of the Dharma Image Realm. Affiliation, Yin Joyous Union Sect. Cultivation Technique, Heavenly Demon Soul Awakening Manual. Heaven Seizing Blood Path. Divine Ability, Celestial Demon Sound. 6 Desires Demon God / Peak of the Dharma Image Realm. Impressive indeed. This old man is a far richer prize than Mu Yanyan. If I can harvest this one, just how many Heavenly Secret points would he be worth? Seeing that I remained silent, Mo Yun's gaze turned icy. This old man is questioning you. Are you deaf? I set the book aside and offered a standard professional smile. I have encountered the people from Yaoqi. As for Li Yun, I was the one who killed him. Boom! A terrifying demonic aura instantly erupted from his body, his killing intent nearly manifesting into physical form. Yet he did not strike immediately. This old fox was staring at me, his eyes filled with suspicion. Perhaps seeing how composed I remained made him hesitate to act recklessly. I clearly only emit the fluctuations of the chi refining stage, yet I dare to provoke him so openly. This old man suspects a trap he likely thought lost in his own deductions. I watched his conflicted expression, feeling inwardly amused. Just who are you, Excellency? And why did you kill my beloved disciple? He finally couldn't help but ask. I replied, if you wish to know, it will cost you. Mo Yun was stunned. The Pavilion of Heavenly Secrets is open for business. As long as the payment is made, you may know anything you desire. Mo Yun's facial muscles twitched as he let out a cold, furious laugh. You killed my unfilial disciple and yet you dare demand money from me? You have quite the nerve. He slammed a longsword onto the table. A mid-grade spirit tool, is this enough to buy an explanation? I skillfully collected the sword. I am Suyu, master of the Pavilion of Heavenly Secrets. This sword only covers our introduction. If you wish to know the reason for the killing, that requires a different price. Veins bulged prominently on Mo Yun's forehead. Gnashing his teeth, he tossed out a glowing crimson orb, a high-grade spirit tool. Now speak and be done with it. I immediately converted the orb into system points. I spoke calmly. Fighting is forbidden within the Pavilion of Heavenly Secrets. Your disciple insisted on breaking my rules, and since he refused to listen to reason, I had no choice but to send him on his way. That is all? Mo Yun's eyes nearly bulged out of his sockets. Just for that, are you mocking this old man? Boom! The old man behind me instantly condensed the Dharma image of a demon god, its massive hands bearing down with a pressure as overwhelming as a tidal wave. You will either confess everything, or this old man shall perform a soul search upon you. You are threatening me? I remained seated, not moving a muscle. And what if I am threatening you? The old man's voice abruptly cut off, for in that very moment I invoked the peerless authority of the Heavenly Secret Pavilion, Kneel. It was but a single word, yet it resonated like the manifestation of the heavenly Tao itself. An indescribable, crushing weight descended from the heavens. Mo Yun did not even have the time to let out a miserable shriek before his so-called demon god Dharma image shattered instantly. He spat out a mouthful of blood, his body pinned firmly to the floor like a dying cur, unable to move a single limb. In that moment, the fury in his eyes finally transformed into absolute terror. Is this the Saint Realm or the Earth Realm? I walked before him, looking down at him from above. You are the first person to dare lay a hand on me before I could even provoke the Heavenly Secret. Senior, spare my life. This junior was blind and failed to recognize a true titan. It is too late. I pressed my palm into the void. Boom! Mo Yun's soul dissipated instantly. He was dead beyond any hope of resurrection. I casually flicked my hand, drawing his storage ring into my palm and emptying out every last piece of his life's fortune. The system calculated a total value of 16,000 Heavenly Secret points, a true windfall. Truly, killing and looting remains the fastest way to acquire wealth. Ding! Host has sufficient funds. Will you expend 10,000 Heavenly Secret points to activate the Heavenly Secret ranking function? The Heavenly Secret ranking can collect data on all things in the world and organize them into a list. To announce it to the world, my eyes brightened. The greatest challenge currently facing the Heavenly Secret Pavilion is its lack of fame. Beyond the devil Li Yun and Mo Yun, only Mu Yanyan knows of our existence. If I were to establish a ranking list and release it to the world, our reputation would spread far and wide. Wouldn't those fat sheep be lining up to hand over their wealth in the future? Activated. 10,000 Heavenly Secret points deducted. Please select the category for the ranking: Prodigy ranking, Beauty ranking, Spiritual Treasure ranking, or Saint ranking. Establishing a Prodigy ranking for the Mortal-Immortal continent requires 5 million Heavenly Secret points. Establishing a Prodigy ranking for to the Eastern Desolation requires 50,000 Heavenly Secret points. Establishing a Prodigy ranking for the Wild Vast region requires 5,000 Heavenly Secret points. My current funds are only sufficient for the base version. Establish the Prodigy ranking for the Wild Vast region. As the words left my lips, a golden screen of light slowly unfurled in the void, with names appearing upon it one by one. Rank, Peak Xuanling, Faction, Heavenly Sword Sacred Land. Rank 2, Yixingchen Realm, Peak Xuanling, Kangwu Sacred Land. Rank 3, Lutiran Realm. Rank 10, True Nature Realm, Midstage, representing the Azure Dragon Temple. Rank 13, Chen Beishuan Void Concealment Realm, a Rogue Cultivator, a total of 100 names. If this list were to be released, the entire desolate Mongguang region would surely erupt in chaos. Publish it immediately. The name of the ranking shall be the Mongguang Heavens Pride Board. I glanced at Mo Yun's corpse on the ground and devised a plan, casually hanging his body outside the entrance, displaying the notorious Mo Yun of the Mongguang region for all to see. The death of this elder would first bolster the prestige and authority of the TNG Pavilion, and secondly, it would help increase the reach of the TNG board. It is truly a case of killing two birds with one stone. As these words fell, a beam of golden light shot out from the TNG Pavilion, soaring straight into the nine heavens. Immediately thereafter, the entire Mongguang region was cast into a state of intense commotion. In the middle of the plains, a colossal stone tablet rose from the earth, piercing the sky. The three characters Tianji board shimmered with the divine power of the great Tao. Naturally, the most shocking sight was the corpse hanging at the very top of the board. It was none other than the unfortunate elder I had just suppressed and killed. This single event sent the entire cultivation world into a complete uproar. The elders of the Heavenly Sword Holy Land furrowed their brows as they stared at the rankings. It was expected that their own saint son would be ranked at the top, but who is this Chen Beishuan at rank 13? A rogue cultivator dares to overshadow the intersect geniuses of our lineage? The monks of the Azure Dragon Temple were even more bewildered. Rank 10, True Nature Realm. Is that the same man who sweeps the floors in the Miscellaneous Service Division? What kind of jest is this? Meanwhile, the sect whose elder was hung on display grew apoplectic with rage, declaring they would raze my TNG Pavilion to the ground. The members of the Goddess Palace wore the most unsightly expressions, for I had revealed the treasure they had kept hidden for so long. Text incomplete. It was Mu Yanyan at rank 48 that the detestable TNG Pavilion had exposed. Yanyan is currently in a crucial stage of awakening. Is this not inviting the jealousy of others? In an instant, cries of suspicion and condemnation resounded throughout the Mongguang region. Everyone believed that this ranking was a fabrication of my own making. After all, placing a mortal above a cultivator was absurd, yet regardless of the criticism, the name of the TNG Pavilion had officially spread far and wide. At this moment, the true protagonist, Yanyan, was struggling for her life at the Fallen God Ridge. One must admit this woman is truly ruthless. The 7-day deadline had just arrived, and she had drained the spiritual essence of the ice-fire dual polarity eyes, leaving not a single drop behind. Boom, one red and one white, two beams of light shot straight into the sky. She snapped her eyes open, her aura surging violently. The ice-fire profound spirit body has awakened, allowing her to enter the immortal mortal realm. Yet before the joy could settle, a terrifying pressure descended like a gathering storm. This aura belonged to none other than the old monster of the Ice Profound sect. Yanyan immediately recalled the warning given to her, cold sweat pouring down her back. Had she been even a moment slower, she would have already been captured and refined into a living cauldron. The senior is truly capable of calculating the secrets of heaven. She dared not delay, transforming into a streak of light and racing desperately toward the Heavenly Mystery Pavilion. The great elder of the Ice Profound sect arrived moments later, only to gaze upon the now depleted spirit eye spring. He was so enraged he nearly suffered a stroke on the spot. How bold of this little girl from the goddess palace, to dare snatching an opportunity right from under my nose. With killing intent surging, the old man tore through the void to pursue her, swearing that even if she fled to the ends of the earth, she would not escape death. Half an hour later, Yanyan managed to escape to the vast wilderness plains. Staring at the towering heavenly mystery stela before her, her heart trembled violently. Is this too a masterpiece of the senior? Just as she prepared to rush into the Heavenly Mystery Pavilion, a thick wall of ice suddenly materialized before her. Blocking her path was a youth in brocade robes, staring at her with a grim expression. I recognize this person. He is ranked 49th on the Heaven's Pride ranking. It is Yanyan of the Ice Profound sect. Since Yanyan has encountered him here, it is time to settle the score. No content provided. Yanyan pointed at the stone steel and let out a cold laugh. On what grounds are you ranked 48th? And I am ranked 49th? Am I a Heaven's Pride of the Ice Profound sect, truly the lowest ranked in the immortal mortal realm? The cultivators who had gathered to watch the spectacle grew instantly excited. Look, two geniuses with adjacent rankings are about to clash. Yanyan stepped forward, his face full of contempt. This Heavenly Mystery Pavilion only knows how to act mysterious, creating a useless list just to insult this young master. Today I shall cripple you, and then I will smash this worthless steel into pieces. Upon hearing this, Yanyan's eyes turned cold as ice. The senior was her savior and her mentor in this new life. How could she allow someone to insult him? You dare to cast doubt on the senior? Senior, you say? In my eyes, he is nothing more than a clown who enjoys putting on a show. Yanyan retorted with a sneer. This was a blatant provocation. What is it? Are you unsatisfied? You dare insult a senior. Yanyan let out a sharp cry, her eyes burning with icy killing intent as she lunged forward. Boom! The two collided instantly, the shockwave of their energy scattering the crowd of onlookers. Although Yanyan had just achieved a breakthrough and possessed a formidable constitution, Yanyan was a seasoned powerhouse. The disparity between them became evident from the first exchange. Someone in the crowd exclaimed in alarm, "Look, Yanyan is already at a disadvantage, she can only defend passively." A terrifying frigid aura erupted into the air, manifesting a domain of ice and snow. Yanyan's figure flickered in and out of sight like a phantom, forcing Yanyan to retreat repeatedly. Do you finally understand the gap between us now? Looking down from above, Yanyan spoke with a tone of utter mockery. With such meager talent, you actually thought you were worthy of ranking above me? Yet Yanyan showed no signs of panic. Instead, the corner of her lips curled into a strange smile. Smiling, are you? You are on the verge of death, and yet you can still laugh. A sudden sense of foreboding tightened in Yanyan's chest. With the awakening of her ice-fire profound spirit physique and a soft shout, a red and white interwoven rune manifested between Yanyan's brows, and two completely opposing forces, ice and fire, began to surge violently within her body. Crack! The ice domain that Yanyan had so proudly displayed was shattering into fragments like glass. The crowd stared at the girl in midair in absolute horror, one side radiating extreme frost, the other raging with wild flames, with a pair of ice-fire wings slowly beating behind her. This is an awakening, isn't it? Yanyan shouted in disbelief. How could this be? A matter that even the goddess palace was unaware of. How could the Heavenly Secret Pavilion have predicted it? In this moment, a chill ran down everyone's spine. Predicting this day 4 days in advance, what kind of Yanyan gave them no time to recover from their shock. Her wings fluttered violently, and in an instant she manifested before Yanyan. Block this for me. With his 6th layer profound ice shield, Yanyan was so terrified that his soul nearly left his body. He unleashed his strongest defensive measure with everything he had. Yet, in the face of her awakened physical form, all these defenses were as fragile as a sheet of paper. Rip. The Frostfire Spear struck with the force of a landslide, piercing through 6 layers of ice shields and driving straight into Yanyan's chest. Cough! Yang spewed a massive mouthful of blood, flying backward like a cancan ball before slamming into the ground. Crippled by half in a single stroke, he could not withstand even one blow. Yanyan uttered those 4 words with a cold, detached tone. Just as she moved to descend and deliver the finishing blow, her expression shifted dramatically. A surge of pressure that made the soul tremble was rapidly closing in on her. The old monster had caught up. She dared not tarry, spinning around to flee with all her might toward the Tianji Pavilion. The moment she departed, an elderly figure descended upon the scene. The Grand Elder of the Profound Ice Sect, Bing Yuanzi, cast a glance at the dying Yanyan. He flicked his hand to extinguish the lingering flames, his eyes locking onto the colossal stone tablet. The Tianji ranking is truly interesting. The next second, his figure vanished, surging directly in the direction of the fleeing Mu Yanyan. At the same time, the entire Wild Abyss territory was shaken by this stone monument. As the results of the duels between the geniuses emerged, everyone realized with horror that the victors were identical to the predictions on the ranking list. Even the sweep monk ranked at the bottom had truly defeated a genius of the Holy Land with a single palm technique that descended from the heavens. It was all accurate, every single prediction was correct. This TNG ranking is truly divine. Within the TNG Pavilion, I stood at the entrance, gazing at the system notifications with satisfaction. TNG ranking successfully crafted. The host domain of invincibility has expanded by 100 miles. It seems the greater the reputation, the broader my territory becomes. While I was deep in thought, a streak of light staggered into my domain. Name Wenyan, being pursued by Bing Yuanzu, spiritual energy near depletion. Note, this person is the #1 propaganda ambassador for the Tianji Pavilion. Suggestion, reward the subject, senior please save her. As soon as Mu Yanyan landed, she collapsed to her knees, her face as pale as a sheet. Without a word, I flicked my sleeve. The spiritual energy within the invincibility domain surged into her body, instantly restoring her to peak condition. Her eyes widened, her face full of sheer disbelief. At this very moment, a terrifying aura belonging to the Tribulation Transcendent stage rumbled toward us, halting at a distance of 100 miles away. Senior, be careful. It is the old monster from the Profound Ice Sect. Please remain calm. I conjured a set of tea utensils and sat down leisurely to pour a cup. Seeing me so composed, the weight lifted from Mu Yanyan's heart, and she obediently stepped into the role of a handmaiden. At this moment, Bing Yuanzi, a formidable expert at the Tribulation Transcendent stage, hesitated 100 miles away. His intuition regarding danger was exceptionally sharp. The area ahead gave him an overwhelming sense of peril, as if taking a single step forward would plunge him into an abyss. What is the matter? Elder Bing, have you traveled all this way only to refuse a cup of tea? My voice was not loud, yet it rang out with crystal clarity in his ears. Bing Yuanzi's pupils contracted. He had been discovered, and to continue hiding would be a great loss of face. Gritting his teeth, he took a step forward and arrived before me. Who exactly are you? Su Yu, a merchant, I said, gesturing toward the chair opposite me. This display of creating objects from the void caused his eyelids to twitch uncontrollably. Are you a saint? He asked cautiously, his heart pounding like a drum. I am neither a saint nor any sort of deity. I smiled at him, saying I am merely a shopkeeper. Bing Yuanzi was startled and struck with fear. Can this man read my thoughts? The chilling sensation of being seen through caused even a tribulation stage expert like him to feel as if he were sitting on pins and needles. After a long silence, he spoke carefully. Senior, with cultivation that defies the heavens, why remain in such an ominous place? Perhaps you would consider coming to our Bing Shi sect as an honored guest? We would surely treat you with the utmost respect. Trying to recruit me, are you? A clever calculation indeed. I lifted my teacup, looking at him with a gaze that held a trace of a smile. I have no intention of going to the Bingshuan sect. After all, that ancient ice vein your sect relies upon for survival is unlikely to last even a few more days, is it? As I finished speaking, Bing Yuanzi's body shuddered, his eyes reflecting extreme shock. He gripped his teacup so tightly that it shattered, the tea spilling over his fingers and soaking his robes. While Bing Yuanzi remained in a state of astonishment, the system interface before me laid bare every detail of his information. Name Bing Yuanzi, strength, early tribulation transcendence, affiliation Bingshuan sect, spirit treasures, Blue Moon Ice Spirit Sword, Rui Water, and Yanla Heaven 1 True Water. Current status, due to the imminent depletion of the ancient ice vein, he is desperately searching for a fortuitous encounter to sustain his sect's lifeline. I felt a sense of quiet triumph. Another large fish had taken the bait, and one far wealthier than the previous Mo Yun. Elder Bing, there is no need to be so agitated. I flicked my finger, and the violent aura surging around him instantly dissipated. The tea in his cup began to boil vigorously once more. This effortless display of technique left Bing Yuanzi in a state of utter terror. Senior, do you truly know about the depletion of the ice veins? His voice trembled as he continued. This is the sect's most guarded secret. Apart from the decrepit elders nearing their end, no one else knows of it. If this were to leak, Bingshuan sect would be torn apart by hostile forces in an instant. I have already stated, the TNG Pavilion knows all. I looked at him with a faint, inscrutable smile. The fear of being completely seen through left him unable to sit still. Yanran, show the guest out, I commanded, suddenly dismissing him. Yanran was momentarily stunned, as business is usually conducted on the principle of mutual agreement. If Elder Bing does not trust me, there is no need to force the matter. I lifted my teacup, my expression as indifferent as drifting clouds and flowing water. This tactic of playing hard to get is ancient, yet it remains effective whenever dealing with fearful old men like him. As expected, Bing Yuanzi panicked. With the very survival of his sect at stake, he dared not gamble. Senior, wait, I was the one who was presumptuous. Gritting his teeth, he produced a single drop of ink-black liquid. This is the Heaven 1 True Water. A single drop can transform into rivers and seas. Consider this a token of my apology. I implore Senior to point out the path of salvation. Ding, a god-tier treasure detected. It can be exchanged for 8,000 Heavenly Secret Points, almost equal to the entire fortune of the late Mo Yun. I was ecstatic inwardly, yet I remained composed as I accepted it. So, you wish to restore your ice veins? I beg for your guidance, Senior. It is simple, I said, pausing deliberately. Mu Yanran, standing beside me, immediately grasped my intent, maintaining a cold, mechanical expression as she named the price. Elder Bing, the rules of TNG Pavilion are absolute. Every piece of information comes at a price. Bing Yuanzi understood immediately. How much is required, he asked while I pondered inwardly. System, search for opportunities in the Jichi Holy Land and the extreme north region. Looking at that endless string of numbers, my eyelids twitched uncontrollably. These options were either far too expensive or far too dangerous. If I were to reveal those, I would likely be struck by heavenly lightning the moment I stepped out the door. Finally, I flipped to the last line. Dragon Bone Seedlings requires 8,000 Heavenly Secret Points. I shall choose that. I quoted an exorbitant price of 3 drops of Heaven 1 True Water totaling 24,000 points. After subtracting the cost, a net profit of 16,000 points. A deal that certainly wouldn't lose money. Bing Yuanzi's face turned ghastly pale. Senior, regarding the Heaven 1 True Water, I only possess that one single drop, but I still have 4 tribulation. Master Jing observed these 4 tribulation-grade spirit treasures are valued at 15,000 points. I gazed at him deeply. Compared to the lives of tens of thousands within his sect, what did these mere worldly possessions matter? As his perspective widened, Bing Yuanzi wore a pained expression, gritting his teeth as he withdrew one more shield. This is my life-bound spirit treasure. Does adding this suffice? A total of 21,000 points. That will suffice for now. Keep pushing your luck and you risk losing your life. I stored the spirit treasures and set my course toward the soul-wandering range to locate the bamboo dragon remains. There lay the skeletons of 7 bamboo dragons, sufficient to mend the weapon veins and break the formation. Bing Yuanzi took the jade slip I offered, scanned its contents, and was overcome with immense joy. Many thanks, Senior. Having spoken, he transformed into a streak of light and hurried away. Once the fat fish had departed, Mu Yanyan bowed respectfully. Thank you, Senior, for saving my life once again. I studied her, and the more I observed, the more satisfied I became. This young girl was not only a living signboard, but also a rather useful tool. Yanyan, do you have any interest in joining the Heavenly Secret Pavilion as a miscellaneous disciple? Miscellaneous disciple? She stood stunned, her eyes flickering with surprise, though her expression quickly dimmed. I am grateful for your favor, Senior, but the Goddess Palace has treated me well. I cannot betray my sect. Oh, so you have your principles, do you? I held her in even higher regard, as you wish. The Heavenly Secret Pavilion never forces anyone. You may summon your master to retrieve you. After speaking, I turned and entered the pavilion, beginning the tally of my spoils. Over 50,000 Heaven Secret Points had entered my account. Finally, I could afford to indulge, and I opened the system shop. Several supreme cultivation techniques made my mouth water. The prison-suppressing deity art at 1 billion points, and the transcendent freedom technique at 500 million, far beyond my reach. Damn it. Finally, my gaze locked onto a classic technique, the Wuxi Jing. The first layer cost 10,000 Heaven Secret Points. Created by the great emperor who stood at the end of the immortal path, its quality was beyond question. The vital point was that it was affordable. I confirmed the purchase, noting the requirement of the innate sacred body Tao embryo for cultivation. I felt cheated, yet with no other choice, I gritted my teeth and paid the price. Proceeding to acquire the innate sacred body Tao embryo, another 11,000 points were deducted as my constitution began to awaken. I felt a sharp sting at the loss. The 20,000 plus points I had just obtained had vanished in an instant. Looking at the remaining 31,000 Heaven Secret Points, I spoke decisively. Use everything to elevate my strength. The moment the words left my lips, the Wuxi Jing began to circulate on its own, and a terrifying aura awakened within my body. Immediately afterward, the Heavenly Secret Pavilion trembled as the Azure Dragon of the East, the White Tiger of the West, the Vermilion Bird of the South, and the Black Tortoise of the North manifested. The phantoms of the 4 divine beasts roared in the void, while I sat cross-legged at the center like an immortal king descending, suppressing the ages. Mu Yanyan stood outside the doorway, utterly transfixed. What manner of phenomenon was this? Before she could even process the sight, the vision shifted once more. A golden sea flooded the heavens and earth with a single lotus of chaos swaying in resplendent glory. Soon after, an ancient altar of the Tao emerged from the chaotic void. A colossal figure stood with its back turned toward all living beings. That silhouette alone caused the 10,000 paths of the universe to lament in submission. Mu Yanyan gazed blankly, tears falling from her eyes of their own accord. From that figure, she sensed only a profound, unending sense of solitude and desolation. Is this the true form of the Senior? In that moment, the final sliver of doubt in her heart was shattered completely, leaving only absolute reverence in its wake. The vision dissipated, and I opened my eyes. The Wuxi scripture had upgraded quite well, but it had drained every last one of my spirit stones. I rubbed my aching temples, looking at Mu Yanyan, who remained stunned into silence, secretly praying for her master to arrive soon and pay up. At the same time, the ghostly range Bing Yuanzi hurried toward the coordinates I had provided. Does this place look anything like a habitat for a candle dragon? He searched for 10,000 miles in every direction. Beyond trees, there was only more forest. Forget a dragon's corpse. Not even a single dragon scale was to be found. Could I have been deceived? He flew into a rage, striking out at the void to vent his mounting frustration. Boom, the impact felt as though it had shattered a hidden barrier. The very next second, a deafening dragon's roar pierced the heavens, and the surrounding landscape transformed instantly. The verdant forest was swallowed whole by netherworld flames, and 7 black dragon skeletons veiled the entire sky. They hung silently in midair, releasing an aura so oppressive, it forced a mighty tribulation transcendence expert like Bing Yuanzi to be crushed face first into the earth. Heavens, it truly is a candle dragon graveyard. As Bing Yuanzi crawled upon the ground, he felt not anger but a frantic, overwhelming joy. The senior did not deceive me. He trembled with such intense agitation that the insults he had muttered moments ago turned into a desperate longing to kowtow before me. There are 7 candle dragons here. Not to mention repairing one's cultivation meridians, these are priceless treasures for alchemy and artifact refining alike. Not to mention the vast fields of unnamed high-grade spiritual herbs surrounding the area. A massive profit, this was an absolute undisputed windfall. Suppressing his excitement, he withdrew the jade slip and followed the array-breaking instructions I had provided, carefully navigating through the saint-grade killing arrays guarding the perimeter. Half an hour later, he finally breached the central sanctuary. The scene before his eyes left him breathless. Amidst the remains of a bamboo dragon stood a small tree, barely waist-high, radiating a brilliant spiritual glow. Hanging from its crown was a vibrant, verdant fruit. Around it, the faint, shimmering silhouettes of dragons coiled and danced. A bamboo dragon spirit fruit and a million-year-old sacred medicinal herb at that. Bing Yuanzi's eyes glowed crimson. To consume such a treasure might grant him immediate ascension to sainthood. He stepped forward as if entranced, but upon reaching a distance of 10 feet from the fruit, he found himself unable to move any closer. It was the terrifying draconic pressure inherent to the sacred herb. To attempt to harvest it by force would surely result in death. A treasure within reach, yet impossible to claim. Bing Yuanzi attempted to approach several more times, nearly losing his life in the process. Reluctantly, he chose to yield, deciding to secure the remains first and seek the method to harvest the fruit at Tianji Pavilion later. He stepped back, drawing out the sealing scroll I had provided him. Countless crimson sealing runes surged forth, tightly binding the remains of the 7 bamboo dragons and dragging them into the scroll with a powerful force. Success, Bing's aged face flushed with uncontrollable excitement. With this in his possession, the Bingshuan sect would surely be saved. Yet, the very moment he tucked the scroll away, bereft of the remains that had suppressed it, the bamboo dragon spirit fruit suddenly emitted a draconic roar that shook the very foundations of the earth. 7 dragon shadows streaked toward the sky, shattering the gloom of the secret realm. The once hidden secret realm immediately began to collapse. A terrifying phenomenon surged into the 9th heaven, visible to every cultivator within 10,000 miles. Disaster, he muttered. The disturbance is far too great. Bing Yuanzi's expression shifted drastically. The manifestations of the sacred herb could no longer be concealed. This incident would surely drive the entire Mongguang region into a frenzy. At that moment, the unbalanced killing formation began to erupt violently. Endless killing intent surged forth like a tidal wave. Bing Yuanzi snatched up a few dozen thousand-year-old spiritual herbs and fled the secret realm without daring to look back. Hovering in the void, watching as the bamboo dragon remnants below were completely engulfed by the killing formation, his heart still raced with terror. Had he been even a step slower, not even his corpse would have remained. Yet, he was fortunate. Though he failed to secure the sacred herb, he held the most significant trump card in his hands. He wondered if these 3 spiritual herbs would suffice to purchase the secret of how to harvest that sacred fruit. Bing Yuanzi pondered for a moment before turning to depart with haste. Back at the Tianji Pavilion, I was leisurely leafing through my books. Behind me, Yanyan stood. Suddenly, a dragon's roar echoed through the 9 heavens, causing the entire Duanhun mountain range to tremble. The young girl's face turned deathly pale, drained of all color. As for me, I set my book aside, the corner of my mouth curling into a faint smile. It seems that this wild wilderness realm is finally about to become lively. Historical records of the wild wilderness era, year 882 note, the 7-dragon pearl has appeared. The fortuitous encounter of a saint has descended upon this world. Once this commotion began, the so-called extraordinary sacred grounds were thrown into total chaos. The great ancestor of the heavenly sword sacred ground manifested his dharma form, commanding his top prodigies to secure this fortuitous encounter. Whoever succeeded would become the master of the 10,000 sword mound. As for my heavenly mystery pavilion, in his eyes, I am nothing more than a grain of dust beneath an emperor's decree. The decrepit old ghost of the heavenly demon sect also burst open his coffin lid, dreaming his delusions of becoming a saint, even declaring loudly, once he ascends to sainthood, he will lift a finger to eradicate a minor character like me. Even the sweeping monk of the Azure Dragon Temple, whom I once exposed, and that sinister rogue cultivator Chen Beishuan are currently staring greedily at this lucrative prize. I took a sip of tea, noticing Yanyan beside me becoming increasingly flustered. I spoke a word of reassurance. Do not fret needlessly. Your master has already arrived. No sooner had I spoken than an afterimage, cold as ice, descended from 100 miles away. It was Princess Lu Roxi of the Goddess Palace. But when she truly stood before the door, Yanyan was so terrified she dropped the transmission talisman in her hands. Master, what are you doing? One could see that the icy, peerless princess was currently bearing a bundle of thorny, blood-drenched demonic branches upon her back. Her elegant cyan robes were stained crimson, a sight that could not help but make one shudder. Lu Roshi of the Goddess Palace requests an audience with Pavilion Master Su. I waved my hand, beckoning her to enter. Seeing her self-inflicted penance, I set down my teacup and let out a soft sigh. Princess Lu is playing the Carrying Thorns to beg for forgiveness card again. There was no need for this. She suppressed the agonizing pain as the thorns tore at her spirit. Struggling to bow, the Pavilion Master bestowed a second life upon Yanyan. Previously, my disciples in the palace inadvertently committed an offense. For slandering the Pavilion Master, as a princess I cannot escape responsibility. I have come specifically to accept my punishment. Seeing that she was quite resolute, I flicked my sleeve carelessly. Those thorns capable of wounding the soul of a Dharma realm cultivator vanished into smoke in an instant. Even the injuries on her back and the damage to her spirit healed completely in the blink of an eye. What manner of supreme power is this? Lu Roshi stood frozen in her tracks, clearly stunned by this display of the golden word ability. I remained composed, casually opening her system profile. At the peak of the Dharma manifestation realm, she was after all a palace master. Yet she was so impoverished that she did not possess even a single tribulation-grade spirit treasure. Her cultivation manual was also fragmented and incomplete. While others come to me seeking destiny, seeking immortality, her mind is occupied solely with how to beg me to let her disciple stay. Even if it is only to serve as a menial laborer, such devotion to one's disciple is truly rare. It is no wonder Mu Yanyan was so steadfast in her choice. Staying at the Goddess Palace was not without its reasons. I, Su, already understand the true purpose of Princess Lu's visit. Whether Yanyan leaves or stays is a decision that rests with her. I will not intervene. I took a sip of green tea and spoke bluntly. Hearing this, Lu Roshi was first startled, then her expression filled with great joy. She understood that this senior was granting Yanyan the choice. Immediately, she turned around and said profoundly, Yanyan, from now on, stay by the senior's side as a menial disciple. As for the Goddess Palace, you need not worry about it for the time being. Mu Yanyan, upon hearing this, attempted to refuse in haste. Master, I am only… Before she could finish, she was directly interrupted by Lu Roshi. Yanyan, you have now awakened the ice and fire profound spirit body. The goddess is too small in stature. Not only can it not aid you, it may even become a burden to you. But here, with the senior, even as a menial disciple, you will benefit immensely. Furthermore, just because you stay here, do you intend to forget the Goddess Palace? Stay. It is the best choice for both you and the Goddess Palace. I believe the other elders would reach the same conclusion. Listening to Lu Roshi's words, Mu Yanyan fell silent. I sat to the side, observing the master and disciple as they confided in one another. They smiled at each other, and I did not interfere. As far as I am concerned, whether Mu Yanyan stays or leaves is of no consequence. I merely require a pair of eyes to help me gather information from the outside world. Mu Yanyan is the best choice, but she is not the only one. But I already refused the senior earlier. After a moment of hesitation, Mu Yanyan looked up, carefully glancing at me. Lu Roshi pondered for a moment, then retrieved 4 Dharma-grade spirit treasures and a significant quantity of high-grade medicinal pills from her storage ring. Pavilion Master Su, would it be possible to grant Yanyan another chance? Lu Roshi asked in a soft voice, probing for an answer. Ding. Detected 4 Dharma-grade spirit treasures. They can be exchanged for 2,000 Heavenly Secret points. Ding. Detected a 6th-grade medicinal pill. It can be exchanged for 500 Heavenly Secret points. Looking at the spirit treasures and medicinal pills offered by Lu Roshi, I accepted them all and converted them entirely into Heavenly Secret points. Mu Yanyan, are you willing to become a handyman disciple of the Heavenly Secret Pavilion? I stood up and asked indifferently. Mu Yanyan glanced at her master, and this time, without a moment's hesitation, she knelt on one knee and said respectfully, Yanyan pays her respects to the Pavilion Master. Good. I offered a faint smile, then looked up toward the distant phenomenon of the 7 dragons playing with a pearl. I spoke slowly. Your first task is to head immediately to the soul-severing mountain range. Notify the entire wild desolate region. Only those prideful geniuses whose names appear on the Heavenly Secret Board are permitted to participate in the upcoming Saint's opportunity. Anyone who defies the decree of the Heavenly Secret will be executed without mercy. Do not say you were not warned. Within the Heavenly Secret Pavilion, an endless killing intent surged like a tidal wave. Lu Roshi and Mu Yanyan felt as if their very souls were being frozen, suffering unbearable agony. Fortunately, this surge of killing intent was not aimed at them, and they could not fathom the catastrophic fate that would befall anyone truly enveloped by it. Too strong, terrifyingly strong. Pavilion Master, is that Saint's opportunity also related to the Heavenly Secret Pavilion? After a long while, Mu Yanyan finally regained her composure and asked cautiously. With my hands clasped behind my back, I looked down at Mu Yanyan and replied calmly, you must remember, the Heavenly Secret must not be defied. Even if it were unrelated to my Heavenly Secret Pavilion, as long as it is a decree of the Heavenly Secret, no one may disobey it. And let it be known, do not say you were not warned. Standing to the side, Lu Roshi felt a sudden, irrepressible urge to kneel upon hearing those words. Is this the true demeanor of the Heavenly Secret Pavilion? Even the 2 great transcendent sacred lands of the wild desolate region would not dare to utter such arrogant and domineering words, would they? Pavilion Master, how should we intimidate the various factions of the wild desolate region? Mu Yanyan asked. A thought flickered in my mind as I opened the system shop and immediately the personal spirit treasure of a Tianji Pavilion disciple can store the power of the Heavenly Tao. It can be used only 3 times, and a single strike is capable of obliterating any cultivator below the Divine Treasure Realm. It is valued at 2,000. If it can affect those below the Divine Treasure Realm, it means even a cultivator at the Tribulation Transcendence Realm could be slain in a single blow. How many Divine Treasure Realm cultivators are there in the Manguang domain? One could likely count them on their fingers. Now that the opportunity of the Dragon Seed has emerged, if we seize this chance to bolster the reputation of Tianji Pavilion, the pavilion shall become renowned throughout the entire Manguang domain. Take this Tianji token and head to the Duanhun mountain range. Anyone who dares to defy the orders of Tianji may be executed on the spot. I flicked my finger and an ancient token flew directly into the hands of Mu Yanyan. Upon receiving the Tianji token, Mu Yanyan's entire body trembled. She could clearly sense the terrifying power contained within it. If it were to be unleashed, it is likely that even a master of the Dharma form realm would be instantly annihilated. Yanyan will certainly not fail the pavilion master's entrustment. Mu Yanyan stowed away the Tianji token, her expression solemn as she spoke. Lu Roxi, standing nearby, stepped forward, cupped her hands, and said, I shall also go to assist Yanyan. Pavilion Master Su, we take our leave. Having spoken, the teacher and student transformed into streaks of light, flying directly toward the Duanhun mountain range. Watching their retreating figures, a faint smirk tugged at the corner of my mouth. To think that only half a month ago I was worried about mere survival. Yet now, the fame of Tianji Pavilion is about to echo throughout the Manguang domain, and this is merely the beginning. The next objective is how to build the image of Tianji Pavilion and how to harvest Heavenly Secret points. Perhaps I should devise something truly ingenious? I bowed my head in deep contemplation and sat down once more, waiting for the opportune moment. Meanwhile, outside the Duanhun mountain range, many factions had already arrived early. The Duanhun mountain range had long since become a place of silence, with a vast killing formation blanketing a range of 10,000 miles. Arcane runes hung in the void like stars, radiating a brilliant light. In the sky, the phenomenon of the 7 dragons playing with a pearl had yet to dissipate. Within the shadows of the killing array, the silhouette of 10,000 dragons surged, their terrifying aura billowing out and engulfing the heavens and the earth. Everything in their path was reduced to nothingness. Is this truly the power of a saint? The cultivators who had rushed here upon hearing the news felt their hair stand on end at the horrifying scene before them. If one were to accidentally charge inside, not even their bones would remain. Yet, amidst the fear, their hearts were primarily filled with greed and a frenzied sense of excitement. The stronger the formation surrounding it, the more precious the opportunity hidden within must be. If they could obtain the fortune inside, they could not begin to imagine the immense benefits they would receive. The Holy Sun Chen Anji of the Heaven Sword Holy Land has also arrived. Holy Sun Yi Xingshan of the Shangwu Holy Land has come as well. Even these 2 transcendental holy lands cannot resist the temptation of a saint's legacy. However, why have the saints of these 2 great holy lands not yet appeared? It is perhaps better that they have not. These 2 holy lands have monopolized half the resources of the Manguang realm. It is finally time for them to step aside. Outside the Duanhun mountain range, cultivators were whispering amongst themselves. Everyone kept their eyes fixed on the saint's legacy before them. Currently, they were only waiting for the 7 dragons playing with a pearl phenomenon in the sky to dissipate before rushing in to seize the treasure. While they waited, 2 streaks of light soared toward them. The cultivators on the scene glanced over, but upon recognizing the princess of the goddess palace, Mu Yanyan, they lost interest and withdrew their gazes. This saint's legacy had attracted even the 2 transcendental holy lands. It was only natural that the goddess palace would have a presence here as well. Mu Yanyan scanned the major powers gathered around the Duanhun mountain range, then took a step forward. Taking a deep breath, she spoke with a cold and indifferent expression. By the order of the Heavenly Mystery Pavilion, only the Heavens Prides listed on the Manguang Heavens Pride ranking are permitted to compete for this legacy. Those who defy the Heavenly Mystery Pavilion's decree will be shown no mercy. Do not say you were not warned. Mu Yanyan's voice echoed throughout the Duanhun mountain range. Immediately, everyone's gaze shifted toward her. At that moment, Mu Yanyan drew more attention than the saint's legacy itself. The world fell silent for a brief second, followed by a roar of mocking laughter. Did we hear that correctly? She intends to bar us from competing for the saint's legacy. Mu Yanyan, who do you think you are? And what exactly is the Heavenly Mystery Pavilion? Does she think this saint's legacy belongs to her family? Truly arrogant, she is merely ranked in the middle tier of that so-called Heaven's Pride ranking, yet she carries herself as if she were a saint. Cultivators from the surrounding sects spewed endless sarcasm. To block someone's path to fortune is no different from killing their parents. Especially when it concerns a saint's legacy, a legacy capable of creating a peerless saint. A mere child whose hair has not even dried, seeking death. A hot-tempered elder of the heavenly demon sect could no longer hold back. He flicked his sleeve and struck directly at Mu Yanyan. Demonic energy churned, manifesting into a pitch-black python that tore through the void. In a flash, it lunged right before Mu Yanyan. To die at the hands of a Dharma manifestation realm powerhouse, this Mu Yanyan could consider her life well spent. The surrounding cultivators gloated, and not a single soul stepped in to assist. Yet just as that pitch-black python was about to strike Mu Yanyan, it vanished in a bizarre manner. Mu Yanyan waved her jade-like hand, producing the ancient command token I had gifted her. As the Tianji token appeared, the power of the heavenly Tao contained within surged forth. Rumble. Immediately afterward, the clear blue sky was suddenly blanketed by a layer of thunderclouds. A terrifying celestial might descended. It struck directly down upon the elder of the Tianmo sect. In a mere heartbeat, that Dharma manifestation realm elder was reduced to countless specks of light, dissolving into the void as if he had never existed. Throughout the entire process, the elder did not even let out a single wretched scream. He simply vanished in an eerie fashion. Witnessing this scene and sensing the pressure weighing down from the heavens, the faces of the cultivators who had been mocking her instantly froze. A sense of extreme danger enveloped the hearts of every person present, leaving them with goosebumps. What had just occurred? What kind of method did Mo Yanyan employ? Once again, everyone turned their eyes toward Mo Yanyan, gazing at the ancient command token hovering before her. Feeling the terrified gazes of the crowd, Mo Yanyan remained expressionless, speaking coldly, "Do not say you were not warned." Outside the Duanhun mountain range, everything fell into a deathly silence. Even under the pressure of the heavenly Tao, the saint-grade killing formation in the background calmed down slightly, no longer daring to stir. Although Mo Yanyan appeared calm on the surface, inwardly her heart was surging with turbulence. She had not expected that the Tianji token, which the senior had bestowed upon her so casually, would be this terrifying. It could resolve a Dharma manifestation realm powerhouse in an instant, and with the Tianji token here, Mo Yanyan felt a surge of confidence. She stood straighter, her expression filled with pride. The cultivators from the major powers who were so noisy just moments ago were now forced to hold their tongues, glancing at Mo Yanyan with apprehension. Yet the fortuitous encounter with a saint— upon what basis does a cultivator whose name is absent from the Heavens Pride ranking lack the qualification to compete for this saint's fortuitous encounter simply because of some decree left by the Heavenly Mystery Pavilion? A cultivator loudly questioned. Mo Yanyan glanced at the cultivator upon hearing this, and stated clearly, "This fortuitous encounter is named the Dragon Casting Seed, opened by our pavilion master Su Yu of the Heavenly Mystery Pavilion. Do you have an issue with that? This saint's fortuitous encounter was opened by the Heavenly Mystery Pavilion?" Hearing Mo Yanyan's words, the crowd was stunned. Just because she claims it was opened by the Heavenly Mystery Pavilion, does that make it true? I could just as easily claim it was opened by me. Other cultivators retorted with sarcasm, but Mo Yanyan merely offered a cold smile as the Heavenly Mystery token before her began to vibrate gently. Seeing the Heavenly Mystery token move, those cultivators hastily fell silent. A powerhouse at the Dharma image realm could not withstand a single strike from the Heavenly Mystery token, let alone small fry like themselves. Now they could only hope that the top sects would step forward to suppress Mo Yanyan, lacking in strength yet possessing such an arrogant tone. True to expectations, moments later, the sect master of the Heavenly Demon Sect stepped forward and snorted coldly, "You killed an elder of my Heavenly Demon Sect. Then pay for his life with a spirit treasure." Having spoken, his figure transformed into a stream of black mist, arriving before Mo Yanyan in the blink of an eye. As he raised his hand to seize the Heavenly Mystery token, his tribulation-transcending realm aura erupted, causing the blood in Mo Yanyan's body to seemingly freeze, leaving her entire body paralyzed. Too strong. Mo Yanyan's expression turned grave. She wondered if this Heavenly Mystery token could truly, as the senior claimed, annihilate a tribulation-transcending realm expert. However, just as the Heavenly Demon Sect Master was about to touch the Heavenly Mystery token, he suddenly shuddered, his pupils reflecting a look of sheer terror, as if he had witnessed something unimaginably horrifying. He then fled at a speed even greater than when he arrived, retreating 100 miles away. What was that feeling just now? The complexion of the Heavenly Demon Sect Master was as dark as a gathering storm. He was an individual who had survived the baptism of the Heavenly Tribulation. If they had attempted to seize the Heavenly Secret token by force just now, they would likely have suffered the same fate as the Elder from a moment ago. There is something profoundly strange about this Heavenly Secret Pavilion. From the initial strike to the retreat, the sect master of the Heavenly Demon Sect didn't even last a single breath. This abrupt turn of events left the cultivators present in a state of shock. What is happening? The sect master of the Heavenly Demon Sect is a cultivator at the Tribulation Transcendence realm. Could he truly do nothing against the spiritual artifact of the Heavenly Secret Pavilion? In an instant, the atmosphere thickened to a breaking point. Are we truly expected to abandon this saint's destiny just like that? This is a saint's opportunity. Let us all strike together. No matter how powerful that spiritual artifact may be, it must have its limits. I refuse to believe that a cultivator who has only just entered the immortal mortal realm, like Mo Yanyan, could utilize it infinitely. The cultivators remained unwilling to yield. Consumed by greed, their reason gradually withered away. Watching the restless crowd, Mo Yanyan gripped the Heavenly Secret token tightly, her face filled with anxiety. Yet, just as the crowd prepared to launch their assault, a calm voice suddenly rang out. Only the chosen heavens prides of the desolate domain are permitted to contend for this opportunity. This is the holy domain of the Sword God Ancestor. Those who are dissatisfied may take it up with the Heavenly Sword Holy Land. The voice was not loud, yet it struck the ears of the cultivators like a thunderclap. Everyone collectively turned their gaze toward Chenanji. Does the Heavenly Sword Holy Land intend to interfere as well? The faces of the major factions turned grim, yet in the face of Chenanji, they dared not make a single move. After all, the mysterious Heavenly Secret Pavilion held less weight than an ancient established Holy Land. The cultivator beside the Holy Sun Chenanji looked puzzled and whispered, Why step in to aid the Heavenly Secret Pavilion in Yanyan? Chen Anji glanced at Yanyan and replied indifferently, nothing at all. I simply find this Heavenly Secret Pavilion somewhat interesting. Holy Sun, when a destiny of heaven and earth emerges, it belongs to whoever can claim it. Even a transcendental Holy Land should not be so unreasonable. A few sects with strength slightly inferior to the Heavenly Sword Holy Land spoke coldly. The Yuhua ancestor also left behind a similar holy domain. I hope you all understand the implications. Immediately afterward, the Holy Son of the Kangyu Holy Land Ye Jingchen stepped forward. The saints of two great holy lands now stood on the same front. This outcome left the sects that still harbored a shred of hope in complete despair. They might have been able to resist a single holy land, but the union of two is enough to lay waste to the entire desolate domain. Why are the saints of two great holy lands speaking in defense of the Heavenly Secret Pavilion? Could it be that this Heavenly Secret Pavilion has some connection to these two great holy lands? At this moment, every cultivator present began to harbor their own private thoughts. Seeing the two great sacred lands step forward to suppress the sects, Yanyan let out a sigh of relief. She could not help but glance at Chen Anji and Ye Xingchen. What exactly were these two outstanding prodigies of the wilderness region planning? With Yanyan holding the Heavenly Secret Token at the forefront, and the two great sacred lands exerting pressure from behind. The major sects could only sigh in helplessness, urgently summoning the prodigies from the Heavenly Prodigy rankings to compete for the fortuitous encounter. Meanwhile, the weaker sects and factions could only find comfort in their misery. When the top 100 prodigies from the rankings gather in full force, what kind of sparks will fly? Is this the true intention of the Heavenly Secret Pavilion? At this moment, I sat in silent contemplation within the Heavenly Secret Pavilion, sensing the surrounding Tao aura growing increasingly dense, a radiant smile spreading across my face. It seems Yanyan has already reached the soul-severing mountain range. The name Heavenly Secret Pavilion must have left an indelible impression upon them. Within the hearts of the cultivators in the wilderness region, the host's range of influence has expanded by another 100 miles. As the Tao aura enveloping the Heavenly Secret Pavilion reached a certain intensity, the system's notification suddenly echoed. I stood up and stepped outside the Heavenly Secret Pavilion. With a mere thought, everything within a 200-mile radius came under my absolute control. This is the benefit of reputation. When the fame of the Heavenly Secret Pavilion reaches a certain zenith, could it eventually shroud the entire immortal mortal continent? That thought suddenly crossed my mind. One must realize that within the domain of the Heavenly Secret Pavilion, I am an invincible existence. I can even shield myself from the power of heavenly tribulation. By then, even those arrogant powers in the southern region would likely have no choice but to bow down before me. However, the immortal mortal continent is vast, far exceeding my current imagination. The journey is long and the task ahead is heavy. I sighed, and with that, I stirred my consciousness, directly transmitting a message onto the Heavenly Secret ranking. The prodigy who seizes this fortuitous encounter shall be granted a heavenly secret gift by the Heavenly Secret Pavilion. The moment I finished writing, every prodigy in the wilderness region felt a ripple, and they simultaneously turned to look toward the wilderness plains. There, the Heavenly Secret ranking pierced through the clouds, radiating a faint golden light. The one who seizes this fortuitous encounter shall be granted a heavenly secret gift by the Heavenly Secret Pavilion. The prodigies of the wilderness all wore solemn expressions. What concerned them was not the heavenly secret gift, but the fact that the Heavenly Secret Pavilion could silently transmit information directly into their minds, seemingly covering the entire wilderness region at once. Could it be that the master of the Heavenly Secret Pavilion is a saint? Chen Anji and Yu Jingchen exchanged glances. In their hearts they shared the same thought. Only the divine sense of a saint could possess the power to envelop this entire wilderness region. Is this Heavenly Secret Pavilion? Could the masters of the Heavenly Mystery Pavilion also be survivors of the final battle, reincarnated somewhere within the Duanhun mountain range? Chen Beishuan narrowed his eyes slightly. Once I secure the bamboo dragon spirit fruit, I must pay them a visit and add fuel to this fire. The great prodigies were determined to seize the saint's fortune, and as the competition grew increasingly fierce, everyone wondered exactly what power the Heavenly Mystery Pavilion truly was. It seemed they were influenced by the presence of these great prodigies. The 7 bamboo dragon souls, which had been dancing in the air, suddenly responded to an unseen command, soaring into the sky and vanishing into the void. With the disappearance of the anomaly, the killing formation that had been wreaking havoc also fell silent. The Zhulong Tomb secret realm had finally opened. Outside the secret realm, the majority of the prodigies listed on the Heaven's Pride ranking had already arrived. This was not counting the cultivators lurking in the shadows, such as the true Chen Beishuan. Chen Anji took the lead, his figure transforming into a streak of light, charging directly into the killing formation to enter the Zhulong Tomb. The top 100 prodigies followed suit immediately, unwilling to be left behind. Cultivators from the remaining sects and factions could only watch with bloodshot eyes as the figures of the prodigies vanished, feeling deeply resentful. Some cultivators beat their chests and stomped their feet in frustration, but what did their unwillingness matter? Who knows? Perhaps the saints from the 2 great holy lands are watching you right now. If you aren't afraid of death, feel free to rush in. A cultivator sneered coldly. Yet even though they could not participate, these cultivators had no intention of leaving. Everyone harbored a desire to watch the spectacle, wanting to know who would ultimately claim the saint's fortune. Boom! Just as the crowd was observing, less than half an incense stick of time had passed before a figure was sent flying out from the killing formation. It was the prodigy ranked 100th on the Heaven's Pride ranking. Alas, even though he is on the Heaven's Pride ranking, he only possesses the strength of the Tao Palace realm. It is far too forced for him to try and seize a saint's fortune. The crowd whispered among themselves. It seemed highly likely that the fortune would be claimed entirely by the Heavenly Sword Holy Land and the Kangwu Holy Land. After all, those two great holy lands had sent nearly 50 people into the Zhulong tomb. Although they could not see the specific situation inside, that did not stop the cultivators from speculating. As time passed, one prodigy after another was expelled from the Zhulong tomb. These prodigies returned empty-handed with unsightly expressions, clearly unwilling to accept this outcome. However, their bodies were now tainted with the aura of the bamboo dragon. Should they attempt to enter the tomb again, they would likely be crushed by the killing formation. On the third day, a prodigy whom no one expected was also cast out. It was actually Yixing, ranked second on the Heaven's Pride ranking. Could he have already obtained the saint's fortune? Surely not. Look at the expression on his face. At this moment, Ye Jingxin stood suspended in the void, his complexion incredibly grim. His fortune was poor. While seeking a tens of thousands-year-old spirit herb, he inadvertently triggered a lethal formation and was forcefully expelled from the Zhulong burial ground. Yet, a moment later, his composure returned. The saint child Chen Anji of the Heaven Sword Holy Land is still inside. If he claims the saint's fortuitous encounter, a disciple of the Kongwu Holy Land asked, filled with anxiety. He dared not voice the rest of his concerns, but everyone understood clearly. If the Heaven Sword Holy Land produced another saint, the precarious balance of power between the two great holy lands in the Mongwang region would be shattered. Regarding this, Ye Jingxin appeared indifferent, calmly stating, "Rest assured, the Heaven Sword Holy Land will not be able to produce a saint." As soon as these words were uttered, they immediately drew the attention of all the cultivators present. Had Ye Jingxin been driven mad by his frustration? Was a site containing a saint's fortuitous encounter not enough to produce a saint? The encounter within is a saint-grade spirit herb, but it is a saint-grade spirit herb specifically for body refinement. Ye Jingxin explained expressionlessly. Upon hearing it was for body refinement, the crowd was stunned, and their interest waned by more than half. Since the post-desolate era, the secret techniques for body refinement have vanished, causing physical cultivation to be relegated to a heretical path. Without corresponding cultivation manuals and divine abilities, no matter how strong one's physique may be, one cannot unleash their full potential, ultimately becoming nothing more than a punching bag. However, even for a body refinement spirit herb, once it bears the title of saint, it cannot be viewed with common standards. Now they could only hope that Chen Anji's luck would not be too favorable. Yi Xingxin said in a low regarding so-called destiny, strength is but a small fraction, the most important factor is fate. Just like me, my luck today was poor, otherwise I would not be standing here right now. As time passed day by day, the Zhulong burial ground secret realm was not very large, and 5 days later the lethal formation that had shrouded the entire Zhulong burial ground trembled slightly, dissolving into countless points of light that vanished into the heavens and earth. As the formation dissipated, figures appeared in the void. The formation is gone. Someone has seized the saint-grade body refinement spirit herb. Who could it be? Instantly, the gaze of everyone present converged upon the heaven-gifted geniuses who remained within the Zhulong burial ground. These geniuses bore injuries to varying degrees, yet their eyes shimmered with brilliance and their aurae remained steady. Over the past few days, each of their strengths had seen some level of improvement. Was this the benefit of a saint's encounter? No content to translate. What I am more concerned with at this moment is, who has obtained that saint-grade body refinement spirit herb? The gathered cultivators scanned the remaining heaven-gifted geniuses, hoping to find a clue, yet on the face of each, there was only an expression of regret and reluctance. Tran and Qi, where is the bamboo dragon spirit fruit? Yi Xingxin's gaze fixed directly upon Tran and Qi as he asked in a low voice. Tran and Qi shrugged, speaking with a hint of helplessness. That fellow got away. Yi Xingxin raised an eyebrow, surprised. Are you telling me you did not seize the bamboo dragon spirit fruit? Tran and Qi looked down toward the bamboo dragon tomb below, his gaze sharpening as he spoke. You would not believe it, but a cultivator in the Wufu realm managed to claim it. Recalling the scene from moments ago, Tran and Qi still found it hard to fathom. The dragon's might emanating from the saint-grade medicinal herb had prevented them from advancing even a single step. Yet that Wufu realm cultivator had managed to charge through with ease and seize it. A Wufu realm cultivator. Could it be Tranbak Huan, ranked 13th on the Heaven's Pride list? The cultivators present gasped in shock. That Tranbak Huan has a mysterious background. Tran and Qi and Ye Xingxin exchanged looks. Did the Heaven's Mystery Pavilion not promise to grant a great fortune? I would like to see if the Heaven's Mystery Pavilion can actually track that fellow down. Deep in the forest of the soul-severing mountains, Tranbak Huan transformed into a shadow, bolting rapidly across the terrain. How truly infuriating. If this saint had not just been reincarnated, I would not be forced to flee like this. In years past, who would have dared to contest a fortune with me, the evil saint? Anyone who dared would have been slaughtered instantly. But now I am merely a cultivator in the Wufu realm, and this saint-grade medicinal herb in my hand is undoubtedly a burning hot potato. As for the Heaven's Mystery Pavilion, he had long since cast their so-called origin of Heaven's mystery out of his mind. Until he possesses the strength to defend himself, he trusts no one. After all, that reincarnation technique can only be used once. Once I, this saint, refine this bamboo dragon spirit fruit, I will surely pay those two great sacred lands a visit to plunder them. Tranbak Huan let out a cold snort in his heart as his figure gradually vanished, and just as Tranbak Huan had surmised, after the fortune at the bamboo dragon tomb had been decided, all the various factions reached the same conclusion. They would hunt down Tranbak Huan. Even though the bamboo dragon spirit fruit is a medicinal, yet it remained incredibly precious, a cultivator at the Wufu realm. What right did he have to claim it exclusively? The hearts of men are governed by greed, especially when faced with temptation. Mu Yanyan paid no mind to the movements of the various factions. The moment the Zhulong secret realm vanished, she returned immediately to the Tianji Pavilion. 2 hours later, Mu Yanyan arrived back at the Tianji Pavilion. Pavilion Master, the outcome of the Zhulong secret realm has been determined. Inside the pavilion, I was still leisurely sipping tea and reading, my posture seemingly unchanged for days. Chen Beishuan has obtained the Zhulong spirit fruit. I did not even look up, calmly asking, as expected, nothing in this world can be hidden from the Pavilion Master. It is true that Chen Beishuan has acquired the Zhulong spirit fruit, Mu Yanyan said, clasping her hands in a respectful salute. Having said this, she hesitated for a moment before asking with suspicion, Pavilion Master, what is the background of this Chen Beishuan? How could he have obtained the Zhulong spirit fruit so easily? A saint-tier spirit herb forms its own domain. That realm was far beyond the reach of Mu Yanyan's strength, yet even from afar she could sense a power capable of obliterating her. Even Chen Anji, who stands at the pinnacle of the Heaven's Pride ranking, could not take a single step further into that domain previously. Yet Chen Beishuan, who is only at the Wufu realm, was able to traverse it as if it were an empty land. Wait for him to arrive, and you shall naturally know. I set down the book in my hand and smiled indifferently, asking, will Chen Beishuan actually come? Mu Yanyan was slightly stunned, then she opened her mouth to ask, Pavilion Master, this disciple has returned. Across the vast wilderness, the major powers are all hunting for Chen Beishuan's trail, wishing to seize the Zhulong spirit fruit. If he is not a fool, surely he would find a safe place to hide and wait until he has refined the Zhulong spirit fruit before appearing. Indeed, I nodded in agreement, but then the corners of my mouth curled into a smile as I asked, then tell me, do you think there is any place in this world safer than the Tianji Pavilion? Mu Yanyan was struck dumb. At that very moment, I seemed to sense something. I raised my head to glance outside the pavilion, and with a light chuckle said, look, he has arrived. 200 miles from the Tianji Pavilion, a figure suddenly halted his steps, looking up at the sky, his expression turning exceptionally unsightly. Why is the heavenly Tao pressure here so strange? This person was none other than Chen Beishuan. In his eyes, within a radius of 200 miles around the Heavenly Secret Pavilion, the pressure of the heavenly Tao poured down like a waterfall, engulfing the entire space. Even as he stepped into the vicinity, he felt as if his very spirit were on the verge of shattering. The cursed Heavenly Secret Pavilion. Why has it appeared here of all places? Chen Beishuan scanned his surroundings, his gaze settling upon an ancient pavilion atop the peak. Upon the structure, the three characters for Heavenly Secret Pavilion radiated a mysterious aura. Upon seeing the pavilion, Chen Beishuan did not hesitate. He turned to depart. To him, the Heavenly Secret Pavilion represented an unknown, and in his world, the unknown was synonymous with danger. As long as he had not yet reached the pinnacle of his power, Chen Beishuan wanted no contact with the Heavenly Secret Pavilion. But just as Chen Beishuan prepared to leave, a gentle voice suddenly echoed in his ears. Taoist Beishuan has arrived, why not come inside and stay a while? Hearing this voice, Chen Beishuan's expression hardened, but before he could react, his vision blurred, and by the time he regained his senses, he was already inside the Heavenly Secret Pavilion. Upon entering, Chen Beishuan immediately saw a peerless man in scholar's robes, sitting before a desk and smiling warmly at him. Behind him, Mu Yanran stood respectfully, casting her gaze upon him. So this is Chen Beishuan? He looks quite ordinary. Truly, he appears very plain. Mu Yanran thought to herself. At the Zhulong sect, she had only caught a fleeting glance. But now that she looked closely, he seemed entirely unremarkable. Taoist, I was merely passing by and had no intention of causing a disturbance. I shall take my leave now. Chen Beishuan composed himself and cupped his hands in a salute. To transport him to the Heavenly Secret Pavilion so effortlessly was not a feat an ordinary person could achieve. The young man before him was clearly no simple character, and it would be best to depart as soon as possible. Taoist Beishuan, why the rush? I looked at Chen Beishuan before me, a playful smile appearing at the corners of my mouth, and spoke nonchalantly, is the illustrious evil saint afraid of a mere master of a small pavilion like me? Boom! The moment the words left my lips, the aura surrounding Chen Beishuan shifted violently. His eyes, once restrained, became profoundly sinister in an instant. A sky-high killing intent erupted from his body like a volcanic eruption, and an invisible force transformed into a surging tide, rushing toward me and Mu Yanran. When she met Chen Beishuan's gaze, Mu Yanran's beautiful face turned deathly pale and she instinctively stepped backward. In that fleeting moment within the eyes of Chen Beishuan, she seemed to behold an entire world, a world of mountains of corpses and seas of blood. In that realm, blood flowed like rivers, bones piled high as mountains, and not a single soul remained. This was a world of death. Compared to it, the 9 netherworlds might as well be a celestial paradise. Is this truly the ordinary man from just a moment ago? How could a cultivator at the Wu Fu realm possess such a terrifying killing intent? And what was meant by the term evil saint that the senior mentioned? Yanyan swallowed hard. Even while hiding behind me, she felt a chill consume her entire body. Who exactly are you? Chen Beishuan's bloodshot eyes bore into me, and he spat out each word with intensity. Are you the great Saint Qinglian or the great Saint Fuqian? The rebirth of the evil saint was Chen Beishuan's greatest secret, yet it had been laid bare by a single glance. The instant I revealed his status as the evil saint, only one thought occupied Chen Beishuan's mind, to silence me at any cost. Sensing the roiling killing intent radiating from Chen Beishuan, I smiled indifferently and gently closed the book in my hands. In the very next moment, that oppressive murderous aura vanished into thin air like a gentle breeze. At this point, Chen Beishuan could not even summon a single strand of spiritual energy. What manner of technique is this? It is overwhelming, more powerful even than he was at his own zenith. Chen Beishuan's pupils suddenly constricted. Having dispelled the killing intent within the pavilion, I spoke calmly. Who I am is of no consequence. What matters is who you are. Are you the evil saint, or are you Chen Beishuan? At that moment, a faint blue screen of light drifted silently before me. Name Chen Beishuan Evil Saint Strength Peak of the Wufu realm. When unleashing his full power, he can contend with those at the Xianfan realm. Cultivation Technique, the incomplete 9 Nether Nirvana Sutra. Techniques. Asura Cannon, Divine Ability, Evil Saint Dome Damps, Eye of Truth, Evil Plot, Peerless Fist, Spirit Treasure, Demon Slaying Blade Fusion Saber. Equipment, Azure Steel Sword, Middle Grade Saint Tier. Current status. At the height of his power 80,000 years ago, the evil saint was besieged by 13 sages at the Valley of the Final End, leading to the ultimate battle. In the end, he perished alongside the 13 sages. The evil saint reincarnated into the body of a good-for-nothing from the Chen family. However, due to the missing fragments of the 9 Nether Nirvana Sutra, his soul remains unable to perfectly integrate with the host body. Consequently, he is urgently refining the bamboo dragon spirit fruit. The divine soul has been completely fused. After finishing the introduction of Chen Beishuan, I couldn't help but click my tongue. It turns out reincarnation and rebirth truly are not limited to the realm of fiction. Without my heavenly secret system, would this man be the true protagonist of this world? I lifted my teacup and took a small sip, once again evaluating Chen Beishuan, who remained locked within my gaze. Chen Beishuan felt a chill run down his spine. The sensation of being completely seen through was truly unbearable. Yet, having once stood at the pinnacle of cultivation, he quickly steadied his mind, retracted his thoughts, and spoke coldly. What is the pavilion master saying? This humble one does not understand. I am merely an insignificant rogue cultivator. Seeing Chen Beishuan maintain his facade and stubbornly refuse to admit the truth, I shook my head with a faint smile. Fellow Taoist Beishuan, there is no need for tension. I harbor no ill intent. As I stated before, whoever obtained the fortuitous opportunity of the Candle Dragon Seed would receive a portion of the source of heavenly secrets. I shall not go back on my word. After all, my pavilion of heavenly secrets values nothing more than its reputation. Speak then, fellow Taoist Beishuan. What fortuitous opportunity do you desire? Hearing this, Chen Beishuan remained expressionless, refusing without the slightest hesitation. My thanks to the pavilion master. But I have no interest in the source of heavenly secrets. I am in a hurry. Farewell. Having said his piece, Chen Beishuan prepared to turn and leave. Watching Chen Beishuan's departing figure, I lightly traced my finger along the rim of my cup, observing the steam rising from the hot tea, and spoke indifferently, are you truly not interested? Even if it concerns the 9 Nether Nirvana scripture? Just as the words left my lips, Chen Beishuan's footsteps came to a sudden halt. He whirled around abruptly, his face twisting into a fierce expression. Hearing news of the 9 Nether Nirvana scripture from my mouth shocked him even more than when his identity as the evil saint was exposed, leaving him utterly confounded. However, his internal aura had already been locked by me, preventing even a fraction of it from leaking out. Yet from the veins bulging on his forehead, and his eyes turning a deeper shade of crimson, the tempest raging within his heart was plain to see. The 9 Nether Nirvana scripture was the very spark that ignited the final battle 80,000 years ago. It was none other than an emperor's scripture, a true emperor's scripture, and the preciousness of such a treasure needs no further explanation. In the entire immortal mortal continent, there are only 5 great emperors, and thus only 5 emperor's scriptures have been passed down. Had he not been besieged and killed by 13 great saints at the final valley back then, perhaps he would have become the 6th great emperor by now. But since that life and death struggle, the secret of the emperor's scripture should have been known to him alone. How could the master of the Heavenly Secret Pavilion possibly know the name of the 9 Nether Nirvana Sutra? Who exactly are you? Chen Beishuan's expression was grave, his fists clenched tightly. I am merely the master of this Heavenly Secret Pavilion. I waved my hand slightly. A chair suddenly materialized, and I gestured for Chen Beishuan to take a seat. Fellow Taoist Beishuan, there is no need for concern. The Heavenly Secret Pavilion is a place of business, and we discuss nothing else. Chen Beishuan stared at me, sensing that the other party truly held no malice, and his fierce expression gradually softened. After bowing slightly and taking a seat, Chen Beishuan's gaze remained fixed upon me. Pavilion Master Su, how did you come to know of the 9 Nether Nirvana Sutra? Chen Beishuan asked in a low, somber voice. Since the other party had already laid the truth bare, there was no longer any need for him to continue the charade, because this place is the Heavenly Secret Pavilion. I spoke with a gentle smile, yet Chen Beishuan could sense a hidden arrogance beneath that composed countenance. Can the heavenly secrets of the Heavenly Secret Pavilion truly predict the future? In the era of his peak, even great emperors did not dare to speak lightly of heavenly secrets. Then, what did Pavilion Master Su mean earlier when you said you wished to bestow the origin of heavenly secrets? Chen Beishuan took a deep breath, asking with evident anxiety. Your 9 Nether Nirvana Sutra is incomplete, is it not? I set down the teacup in my hand, lifted my gaze toward Chen Beishuan, and cut straight to the point. Upon hearing this, Chen Beishuan's pupils uncontrollably constricted and his heart skipped a beat. The master of the Heavenly Secret Pavilion could truly calculate the heavenly secrets, a feat that even the great saints who hunted him down were unaware of. He could state with certainty that before meeting me, he was the only soul in this world who knew the full truth. Thinking of this, Chen Beishuan's breathing suddenly became ragged. If the master of the Heavenly Secret Pavilion could truly calculate the heavenly secrets, Pavilion Master Su, then do you know where the remaining part of the 9 Nether Nirvana Sutra is located? Chen Beishuan asked with intense urgency. Naturally, I do. I nodded. Chen Beishuan surged to his feet with a loud thud, his body trembling with agitation. If he could obtain the complete 9 Nether Nirvana Sutra, he would undoubtedly reach the realm of a great emperor in this lifetime. But before he could press further, my indifferent voice echoed through the room. But tell me, why should I tell you? Meeting my gaze, the flame of hope that had just flickered to life within Chen Beishuan was instantly extinguished. Not only was the 9 Nether Nirvana Sutra an Imperial Tier manual, but to trace its location, the Heaven's secret points required would likely reach into the millions, or even tens of millions. Furthermore, Chen Beishuan and I shared no kinship. Why should I expend my hard-earned Heaven's secret points to enlighten him? What of the origin of Heaven's secret that Pavilion Master Su mentioned earlier? Chen Beishuan asked, unwilling to let go. It was not that he hadn't considered threatening me to extract the location of the 9 Nether Nirvana Sutra, but that thought was stifled the moment it took root. The peerless man standing before him was likely even more powerful than he had been at the pinnacle of his own existence. Facing Beishuan's inquiry, my expression remained unchanged as I calmly stated, I have already told you of the origin of Heaven's secret. Chen Beishuan was stunned. You have told me already? Searching his memory for their recent exchange, Chen Beishuan found no recollection of such a thing. Very well, I shall repeat myself one last time. Observing Chen Beishuan's bewildered expression, I fixed my star-like obsidian eyes upon him and spoke slowly. Who are you truly? Are you the cast-aside son of the Chen family, Chen Beishuan, or are you the evil saint Chen Beishuan? This question again. What could this possibly have to do with the origin of Heaven's secret, or the 9 Nether Nirvana Sutra? Chen Beishuan's brow furrowed tightly, but just as he pondered this, my voice resonated through his mind like the tolling of a bronze bell. Immediately thereafter, the divine light in Chen Beishuan's eyes dimmed, turning vacant and hollow as if he were a mere shell. Within the depths of his consciousness, the life of the cast-aside son Chen Beishuan and the life of the evil saint Chen Beishuan played out like a slow-moving reel, a moment in time that felt as fleeting as a spark, yet as vast as 10,000 years. In an instant, Chen Beishuan suddenly awoke, his once vacant eyes gradually sharpened. I am not the trash of the Chen family, nor am I the evil saint Chen Beishuan, myself. I thank Pavilion Master Su for this fortuitous encounter. Chen Beishuan stood tall. Though his outward appearance remained unchanged, it seemed as though his very essence had been transformed. Mo Yanran felt a strange sensation, as if the youth before her had become an entirely different person. Had the Pavilion Master not simply asked him a single question? What in the end had transpired? Yet without my permission, she dared not voice her questions. I of course sensed the profound change in Chen Beishuan. The smile of, have you truly understood, fellow Taoist Chen Beishuan? Chen Beishuan bowed his hands in a salute and replied, this junior understands. Many thanks to the Pavilion Master for resolving my doubts. At this moment, Chen Beishuan changed his manner of address, choosing to use a respectful title when speaking to me. Although I had only asked him a seemingly ordinary question, to Chen Beishuan, it held immense significance. People are often consumed by the achievements they have attained in the past. While it is a form of glory as it honors you, it simultaneously shackles your steps from moving further forward. Before meeting me, the path Chen Beishuan was treading was identical to the one I took in my previous life as a saint. Because it is a proven path to success, his subconscious would not reject it. Furthermore, he believed it to be the most efficient shortcut. Yet, if he were to continue along that path, his ultimate achievement would only ever reach the level of a saint. Reborn into this life, carrying the 9 Nether Nirvana Sutra, his goals were naturally far beyond merely becoming a saint. To say that my question saved his life would not be an exaggeration, though he should not rejoice too soon. The 9 Nether Nirvana Sutra you cultivate is fundamentally incomplete, which has prevented your soul from completely merging with this body. Has it not? I spoke with a faint smile. As expected, my current state could not be concealed from the master of the Heavenly Secret Pavilion. However, this time, Chen Beishuan was no longer overly shocked. If even the 9 Nether Nirvana Sutra could be deduced, then his current condition was naturally not a mystery. Does Senior have a way to resolve this? Chen Beishuan asked, his expression filled with anticipation. To resolve this matter is as easy as turning over one's hand. I smiled faintly, then spoke indifferently. The Heavenly Secret Pavilion values its reputation, which is why I have bestowed upon you the origin of heavenly secrets, but the Heavenly Secret Pavilion also operates as a business. If you wish to know the method, present an item of equal value to exchange. An item of equal value? Chen Beishuanzi lowered his head in contemplation, revealing a rare look of embarrassment. As someone currently empty-handed and the cast-aside son of the Chen family, he truly possessed nothing of significant value on his person. As for his 9 Nether Nirvana Sutra and his life-bound saint artifact, he certainly would not trade them for information. After pondering for a moment, Chen Beixuan took out a spirit fruit covered in intricate dragon-like patterns, handed it to me and asked tentatively, "This bamboo dragon spirit fruit, I wonder if its value is sufficient?" To him, the bamboo dragon spirit fruit only treated the symptoms rather than the root cause. If I truly possessed a method to help him fully merge his soul and physical body, then this saint-grade body-tempering herb was worth very little in comparison. Upon discovering a body-refining sacred elixir, I realized it could be exchanged for 50,000 Heavenly Secret points. Seeing the valuation provided by the system, I could not help but be astonished. This is the most valuable treasure I have ever encountered. It seems that swindling these old foxes is truly the fastest path to wealth, as the system's fortune-finding ability can perfectly harmonize the soul and the physical body. I mused to myself, ding, a total of 108 locations with opportunities detected. The Jade Pool Sacred Ground requires 8 million Heavenly Secret points to reveal specific fortunes. The 9 Heavens Nirvana scripture requires 5 million Heavenly Secret points to reveal specific fortunes. I scanned the list, clicking my tongue in disbelief. These familiar sacred grounds appear on the list every time I search, and the cost to investigate them is astronomically high. I wonder just how powerful these sacred grounds truly are to be able to hoard so many of the world's fortunes. 10,000-year Wuyu grass costs 5,000 Heavenly Secret points to reveal its specific fortune. I claimed the Zhulong spirit fruit and immediately accessed the information on this opportunity. It is a soul-nourishing spirit herb, a top-tier treasure located within the treasury of the Heavenly Sword Sacred Ground in the Mongguang region. Note: the Heavenly Sword Sacred Ground treasury is guarded by a saint-level formation. Please click to view detailed methods to break the array. Seeing the specific details of this fortune, I was momentarily stunned. The Heavenly Sword Sacred Ground, if I recall correctly, it is one of the 2 transcendent sacred grounds in the Mongguang region, is it not? I recorded the information onto a jade slip. With a flick of my finger, I tossed it to Chen Beishuan. The solution you require is recorded within. Upon hearing this, Chen Beishuan was overjoyed and hurriedly inspected it, but as he read the contents of the jade slip, his smile instantly froze. The Heavenly Sword Sacred Ground is a formidable power. Naturally, that implies the presence of a saint guarding it. If this were Chen Beishuan at the peak of his power, he would perhaps be able to disregard the sword god ancestor of the Heavenly Sword Sacred Ground, but he is currently nothing more than a lowly cultivator without his original attributes. How could he possibly evade the notice of a saint? Observing Chen Beishuan's grim expression, I tapped my fingers rhythmically against the table, seemingly hesitant. After a long moment, my hand ceased its movement. I spoke in a low, solemn voice, "I can assist you, but you must agree to one condition." Chen Beishuan looked up, his expression full of confusion. "I want you to join the Heavenly Secret Pavilion and help me establish the Heavenly Secret Guard." Chen Beishuan faltered, unable to process the request immediately. I nodded, my face devoid of emotion. "This is my own decision, independent of the system. I wish to earn Heavenly Secret points to increase my strength. Making the Heavenly Secret Pavilion renowned across the mortal continent is an essential undertaking. After all, the great emperor of the southern regions once left behind a remnant legend. Within the Mongguang region, heavenly secrets shall not exist. Within the domain of the Heavenly Secret Pavilion, one possesses invincible power. But whether this still holds true against the level of a great emperor remains an unknown. After all, the great emperor realm remains a mystical and enigmatic stage of existence. I do not favor gambling. Before facing the Nanfang Xiaohong Great Emperor, he must be thoroughly prepared. Chen Beishuan possesses the Earth Sutra, and as the reincarnation of a saint, if properly nurtured, he holds a significant hope of stepping into that legendary earthly realm. "Senior, how do you intend to assist me?" Chen Beishuan asked, opening the conversation. I smiled indifferently and accessed the system's mall interface, searching for a method to deceive the senses of a saint. The Taihu Mysterious Jade Pendant, a semi-saint artifact crafted from jade mined from the void lands beyond the 9 heavens. It possesses the ability to conceal one's heavenly fate. The cost is 20,000 heavenly fate points. My mouth twitched violently, but for the sake of my grand design, I gritted my teeth and finalized the purchase. Immediately afterward, I reached out my hand and gently clenched the empty air. In the next instant, the spiritual energy within a 10,000-mile radius of the Heavenly Mystery Pavilion erupted in chaos. Countless dust and gravel particles floated into the sky. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Under the devastation of the berserk spiritual energy, towering mountains 10,000 feet high rose from the depths of the earth. Countless rivers surged and converged. Within a radius of 10,000 miles, the terrain was forcibly altered. The mountain ranges and rivers all gravitated toward the peak of the Heavenly Mystery Pavilion, only to be swallowed by a pitch-black abyss. The storm raged for half a quarter of an hour before slowly returning to calm. As the dust settled, that black abyss suddenly detonated. A shockwave visible to the naked eye swept across the wild lands, dispelling all clouds at an altitude of 10,000 miles. Once the turmoil subsided, a jade pendant no larger than a child's fist hovered silently in midair. Upon seeing this jade pendant, Chen Beishuan could no longer suppress the shock in his heart. He cried out in disbelief. A saint artifact? Has a saint artifact truly manifested? Chen Beishuan looked up, staring blankly at the sky. That jade pendant, no larger than a palm, stirred a violent storm within his heart. To forge a semi-saint artifact with a mere flick of the hand, such a feat was beyond even his capabilities during his own peak. He remained frozen, gazing at me with a calm and detached expression. Beyond the respect he felt, a trace of fear now took root. This is the Taihu mysterious jade pendant. You may use it to infiltrate the Heavenly Sword Holy Land and retrieve. With a wave of my hand, the jade pendant descended slowly, hovering before Chen Beishuan. A gift? For me? Chen Beishuan stared at the pendant as it emanated a mysterious aura, unable to believe his eyes. Why do you not desire it? I spoke in a rare moment of jest. Chen Beishuan remained silent for a long moment before reaching out to accept the Taihu mysterious jade. He spoke in a low, solemn voice. Pavilion Master, I wonder what requirements you have for the Heavenly Secret Guard. He addressed me as Pavilion Master with genuine conviction, signifying his complete willingness to serve under my command. As for the candidates for the Heavenly Secret Guard, I shall select them myself. The only task you must focus on now is increasing your strength. Regarding Chen Beishuan's attitude, I was quite satisfied and continued, if you prove yourself worthy, the latter half of the Nine Nether Nirvana Sutra, when the time is ripe, it is not impossible for me to bestow it upon you. Upon hearing this, Chen Beishuan's face lit up with joy. He immediately cupped his hands and said, Many thanks, Pavilion Master. This disciple shall take his leave. With that, Chen Beishuan tucked away the Taihu mysterious jade and turned to depart from the Heavenly Secret Pavilion. Watching his departing silhouette, Yanyan could no longer suppress her curiosity and asked, Pavilion Master, why is this Chen Beishuan referred to as the evil saint? I rose to my feet, cast a glance at Yanyan, and answered with a faint smile, There are some matters that you are not yet prepared to understand. You too must hasten to improve your cultivation. Within 1 year, you must become the head of the Mongguang Heaven Pride Rankings. Head of the Mongguang Heaven Pride Rankings? Yanyan appeared momentarily dazed. The current leader of the Heaven Pride Rankings is none other than the Holy Son Chen Anji of the Heavenly Sword Holy Land. Beyond his peerless innate talent, he is backed by the full cultivation resources of a supreme Holy Land. Yet as a disciple of this pavilion, you must not fail to meet expectations. After a brief moment of hesitation, Yanyan's expression hardened as she cupped her hands and declared, Chen Anji has the Heavenly Sword Holy Land, and I have the Heavenly Secret Pavilion. If I cannot reach the top of the Heaven Pride rankings within a year, I would sooner return to the Divine Maiden Palace to live out my days in obscurity. The pavilion has many chambers. Choose one for yourself, and I shall summon you when you are needed. I waved my hand, signaling for Yanyan to withdraw. Once she had departed, I stepped out of the Heavenly Secret Pavilion. With my hands clasped behind my back, I gazed into the distance. The Mongguang region is truly becoming more interesting by the day. One can only wonder what the reaction of the Heavenly Sword Holy Land, that supernatural powerhouse, will be now that Chen Beishuan has plucked the myriad-year carefree flower right from beneath their very noses. Furthermore, the reputation of the Heavenly Secret Pavilion has now spread throughout the vast Mongguang domain. What manner of actions will the great powers take in response? Contemplating this, I opened the system store. Gazing at the 25,000 Heavenly Secret points remaining, I had yet to make a move. These points were still slightly insufficient to purchase the second level of the Wuxi Jing. And given that the Wuxi Jing is an Earth-grade manual, its cost will only increase as I progress further. Yet, for the moment, I am in no hurry. I have a premonition that in the future, cultivators will be lining up to offer me their Heavenly Secret points, and that day is not far off. While I was envisioning the future, the Mongguang domain was once again plunged into a great upheaval. The source of this turbulence was, of course, the commotion caused by the emergence of the Taihu Xuan Jade pendant earlier. With the quasi-saint artifact manifesting, the ancestral treasures of the major powers all groaned and trembled, and even the two great supernatural Holy Lands were no exception. Deep within the back mountain of the Kangwu Holy Land, an ancient Bagua mirror floated silently in midair, its formidable aura spreading outward, causing the surrounding space to warp and distort. On the surface of the ancient mirror, countless images flickered like a lantern show, reflecting the changing of the 4 seasons and the evolution of all things, from birth and aging to sickness and death, an incredibly profound sight. This was the Yin-Yang Bagua mirror, the sacred artifact inherited by the Kangwu Holy Land for 10,000 years. Having remained dormant for nearly 10 millennia, the ancient mirror finally showed signs of movement due to the emergence of the Taihu Xuan Jade pendant. Beneath the ancient mirror, an elder with crane-white hair and a youthful complexion stood with his hands behind his back, silently observing the sacred artifact above. The ancestor behind the Kangwu Holy Lord bowed respectfully and asked softly, The Yin-Yang Bagua mirror has stirred. Is this because of the disturbance from earlier? A sacred artifact has emerged in the Mongguang domain? The Yuhua ancestor spoke indifferently, his tone impossible to decipher. A sacred artifact has emerged? The heart of the Kangwu Holy Lord skipped a beat, his pupils constricting slightly. Though he had already guessed as much, hearing the confirmation from his own ancestor's lips, he still found it hard to believe. A sacred artifact requires a saint to nurture it for 10,000 years to have any hope of taking form. Today, a sacred artifact has suddenly manifested in the Manghoang realm. Could it be that there is another reclusive saint hidden within these lands? Ancestor, do you know who might have forged this sacred artifact? The Holy Lord of Kangwu could not help but ask. The ancestor of the Yuhua Holy Land shook his head slightly, saying, "It seems the heavenly secrets are obscured. Even I cannot discern its origin." Upon hearing the words heavenly secrets, the brows of the Holy Lord of Kangwu involuntarily furrowed. Could it be the Heavenly Secret Pavilion? Ever since this so-called Heavenly Secret Pavilion appeared, the Manghoang realm has not known a moment of peace for the past half-month. From the Manghoang prodigy ranking to the manifestation of saint-tier opportunities, and now the emergence of a sacred artifact, everything seems inextricably linked to this Heavenly Secret Pavilion. Hearing the speculation of the Holy Lord, the Yuhua ancestor finally turned around, his eyes burning with a flash of golden light. The Heavenly Secret Pavilion, you say? They are truly like moths flying into a flame. Should we dispatch disciples to investigate? The Holy Lord of Kangwu asked. There is no need. The Yuhua ancestor replied without hesitation. Under the Emperor's decree, the Heavenly Secret sect does not exist. Having dared to claim the name of Heavenly Secret, their destruction is merely a matter of time. If not for the total annihilation of the previous Heavenly Secret sect, he might have been inclined to pay a visit to this new pavilion. But now he would not dare to defy the decree of the Jue Huang Great Emperor. Merely recalling the remnant of pressure he felt a century ago, the Yuhua ancestor could not help but tremble. Even though he has reached the saint realm under that aura, he felt as insignificant as an ant. The Great Emperor, those two words alone are enough to command absolute obedience and strike fear into the hearts of men. Restrict our disciples within the Holy Land. Keep them from having any contact with that Heavenly Secret Pavilion. Having spoken, the silhouette of the Yuhua ancestor vanished into the back mountain. At the same moment, within the Heavenly Sword Holy Land, the Sword God ancestor issued an identical warning. The residual Emperor's pressure from a century ago had left an indelible mark on these two saints. Ancestor, what of that Zhulong spirit fruit? The Holy Lord of the Heavenly Sword pursued the matter, eager to continue the investigation. A cultivator at the Wufu realm, though suspicious, cannot possibly escape the Menghoang realm. The Sword God ancestor said indifferently, a saint-tier medicinal herb for body refinement remains a saint-tier herb, bestowing it upon a mere. Yet even the Sword Saint ancestor failed to sense it. Outside the Heavenly Sword Sacred Ground, Chen Beishuan was quietly approaching, shielded by the Taifu mysterious jade. The jade pendant emitted a shimmering radiance, completely concealing his aura. Wan Nian Wu Yu, I have arrived. To call the Zhulong seed a saint-level opportunity is an understatement. One cannot simply describe it as meager. Medicinal herbs over tens of thousands of years old, let alone in the Mongguang region, even in the eastern wasteland, they are as rare as phoenix feathers and kilin horns. It was no simple feat for us to harvest these two stalks. If the Sacred Ground's alchemist elder can refine these two 10,000-year-old herbs into elixirs, the Sacred Sun's strength would likely advance by another level. Indeed, perhaps the Sacred Sun might even seize this opportunity to condense his Dharma image and enter the Dharma image realm. Just as Chen Beishuan was about to enter the Heavenly Sword Sacred Ground, several flattering voices echoed above his head. Looking up, he saw Chen Anji, the Sacred Son of the Heavenly Sword Sacred Ground, returning from the Zhulong Seed with a group of prodigies. It is a pity that the saint-level body-tempering herb was snatched away by a mere brat at the Wufu realm. That person is no mere brat. To rank 13th on the prodigy board while at the Wufu realm, he must possess extraordinary capabilities. So what if he does? With the influence our Sacred Ground wields in the Mongguang region, hunting down a rat is as easy as turning over one's hand. When the time comes, won't the body-tempering herb and the secrets he holds be ours for the taking? The Heavenly Sword Sacred Ground prodigies discussed the matter animatedly. As the conversation turned to Chen Beishuan, Chen Anji, who was leading the group, suddenly halted, his brows knitting together as he looked down at the dense forest below. Sacred Son, is something the matter? The prodigies behind him hurriedly stopped and looked down, but saw nothing below save for the thick forest. This is the front gate of the Heavenly Sword Sacred Ground. Let alone a person, even a spirit beast or a bird would not dare to approach. It is nothing. Chen Anji withdrew his gaze and glanced back at the prodigies. He said coldly, one must learn the meaning of reverence. Even when a lion hunts a rabbit, it must use its full strength. If you underestimate your opponents in such a manner, the ones who ultimately fail will surely be yourselves. Arrogance and prejudice will only render you useless in the eyes of others. I will pretend I did not hear those words just now. Should there be a next time, do not blame me for being ruthless. Sensing the invisible aura radiating from Chen Anji, the prodigies behind him shrank back, hurriedly bowing in submission. The Saint Sun's words are wise, we understand our place. Chen Anji let out a cold snort, his figure flickering as he lunged toward the Heavenly Sword Sacred Land. Standing below, Chen Beishuan clenched his fists, his eyes bloodshot. When has this saint ever been forced to endure such humiliation? In his past life, the mere mention of the title Evil Saint would cause the entire eastern region to pale in terror. Yet now mere cultivators in the mortal and immortal realms dare to utter such arrogant nonsense. The Heavenly Sword Sacred Land, you say? Once I obtain the 10,000-year carefree flower here to fuse my divine soul, I shall eventually return to teach you a lesson. Chen Beishuan snorted coldly, and protected by the Taifu Xuan Jade Pendant, he strode boldly into the inner sanctum of the Heavenly Sword Sacred Land. As he crossed the threshold, a terrifying pressure descended from the heavens, engulfing the entire space. This was the great sect-protecting formation of the Heavenly Sword Sacred Land, a saint-grade formation. Yet, the moment this crushing pressure fell, The Taifushuan Jade Pandan at Chen Beishuan's waist vibrated slightly, emitting a shimmering white light that instantly neutralized the saint-level pressure. To think that a quasi-saint artifact refined by the Pavilion Master could be so miraculous. Chen Beishuan was filled with joy, observing it intently for a long moment. Despite having attained sainthood in his past life and possessing vast knowledge, he still could not fathom what materials were used to refine this item. With this quasi-saint artifact, it is truly a divine tool for infiltration and concealment. A sinister smirk crept across the corner of Chen Beishuan's mouth. After testing the capabilities of the Taifushuan Jade Pendant, Chen Beishuan cast away his worries and began to roam the Heavenly Sword Sacred Land with unrestrained confidence. A short while later, Chen Beishuan had successfully slipped into the treasury of the Heavenly Sword Sacred Land. Upon entering, his gaze immediately locked onto a blue flower swaying in the breeze, the 10,000-year carefree flower. Chen Beishuan's breath hitched, his body trembling with excitement. He strode directly toward the 10,000-year carefree flower. Catching the faint, lingering fragrance, Chen Beishuan felt his spirit refreshed, as if his very soul were cheering. The Pavilion Master surely did not deceive me. Chen Beishuan's reverence for him deepened even further. There were also 2 more spiritual herbs of 10,000 years. Placed right beside the 10,000-year carefree flower were 2 lush, verdant spiritual herbs, the very same ones Chen Anji and his group had recently harvested from the Azure Dragon clan. In that case, this saint shall not stand on ceremony. Chen Beishuan waved his hand, collecting the 2 spiritual herbs, then carefully plucked the 10,000-year carefree flower and placed it into a jade box. But the very moment he harvested the 10,000-year carefree flower, a sword intent so sharp it felt as though it could pierce the heavens and the earth, awakened from the back mountain of the sacred land, descending upon the treasury with a terrifying aura in the blink of an eye. Is it possible for a saint to be bound by a restriction? Chen Beishuan looked down at the jade box in his hand, his expression grave. Although he had great confidence in the supreme profound jade pondum refined by Su Yu, he was not certain if he could completely evade the detection of a saint. Without hesitation, he tucked away the jade box, executed his movement technique, and transformed into a wisp of green smoke, vanishing from the treasure pavilion. No sooner had Chen Beishuan departed than the Sword Saint Ancestor appeared within the treasure pavilion. The Sword Saint Ancestor gazed at the jade basin that once held the 10,000-year Wu Yu, standing in stony silence, his expression unreadable. A moment later, the Heaven Sword Holy Lord and Chen Anji arrived, rushing into the treasure pavilion in pursuit. Ancestor, what has happened? Within the Heaven Sword Holy Land, there were almost no occurrences that would require the Sword Saint Ancestor to intervene personally. But when his gaze fell upon the empty jade basin, his pupils contracted. The 10,000-year Wu Yu was gone. Who has entered the treasure pavilion prior to this? The Heaven Sword Holy Lord questioned in a stern, commanding tone. Chen Anji furrowed his brows deeply, cupping his hands in a salute as he spoke. Master, some of the disciples and chosen ones who accompanied me had entered this place. They must have been incredibly audacious to dare tamper with the treasures in the pavilion. Where are they? Just as the Heaven Sword Holy Lord's fury began to mount, the Sword Saint Ancestor finally spoke. It was not them. Someone has slipped into the treasure pavilion specifically to steal the 10,000-year Wu Yu. The Sword Saint Ancestor surveyed the pavilion, continuing, moreover, the intruder's objective was clear. They came solely for this flower. Upon hearing this, the Heaven Sword Holy Lord and Chen Anji could not help but gasp in shock. Cold sweat broke out across their bodies. Someone had silently infiltrated the Holy Land. Their first instinct was that the Sword Saint Ancestor was joking. The Heaven Sword Holy Land was protected by saint-level formations, and the treasure pavilion itself was encased in one as well. More importantly, the Holy Land was guarded by an ancestor in the Saint Realm. Even the Ascension ancestor of the Kongwu Holy Land could not have slipped into the pavilion unnoticed to steal a spiritual treasure. Could it be a Saint King? But why would a Saint King risk sneaking into the Heaven Sword Holy Land for a mere 10,000-year Wu Yu? For a moment, the Heaven Sword Holy Lord felt as though a massive boulder were pressing against his chest, making it difficult to breathe. Whoever the culprit was, they possessed the ability to infiltrate the Holy Land and steal under the very nose of a saint without leaving a single trace. This posed a grave calamity for the Heaven Sword Holy Land. Issue an order. No one is to breathe a word of this to the outside world. Anyone who violates this... The Heaven Sword Holy Master took a deep breath and issued a stern command. Yet while he could silence the disciples of his sacred land, he could not silence Chen Beishuan. The news of the Heaven Sword Sacred Land being robbed spread throughout the Monghuang region by the following day. In an instant, the entire Monghuang region was in an uproar. Have you heard the news? The treasury of the Heaven Sword Sacred Land has been plundered. Are you joking? The Heaven Sword Sacred Land is a transcendent power within the Monghuang region, guarded by a saint, who could possibly steal from under a saint's very nose. This matter is absolutely true. I have a cousin who serves as a menial disciple in the Heaven Sword Sacred Land. It is said that the item stolen was a 10,000-year-old Wu Yu flower. So it is actually true? A mysterious individual has struck the Heaven Sword Sacred Land, slipping past the eyes of a saint to steal the 10,000-year-old treasure. Your information is far too outdated. I have known about this for quite some time. Indeed, a direct disciple of the Heaven Sword Sacred Land told me this himself. Tell me, just how powerful must that mysterious figure be to evade the detection of a saint? The Heaven Sword Sacred Land has been robbed, and the culprit's identity remains unknown to this day. Stop spouting such nonsense. Who could possibly be so bold? Who would dare to twist the whiskers of a dragon? Why would I lie to you? The Heaven Sword Holy Master has personally confirmed it. The news continued to spread, traversing the entire Mongguang region within a single day. The Heaven Sword Sacred Land, with a saint seated in meditation, had been quietly infiltrated and robbed of its 10,000-year-old Wuyu flower. For the Heaven Sword Sacred Land, this was nothing short of a humiliation. Crash inside the Sword God Hall of the Heaven Sword Sacred Land. A terrifying aura erupted from the body of the Heaven Sword Holy Master, shattering the chair he was sitting upon into dust. Arrogant, truly far too arrogant. Not only did they steal the 10,000-year-old Wuyu flower, but they even spread the rumor to the outside world. Do they truly think the Heaven Sword Sacred Land is a soft target? The complexion of the Heaven Sword Holy Master was so dark it seemed as if ink were dripping from it. In the tens of thousands of years since the founding of this sacred land, this is the first time they have suffered such a disgrace. Patriarch, have you discovered who robbed the sacred land's treasury? I wish to personally execute him and hang his corpse before the gates of the sacred land to wash away this shame. The Heavenly Sword Holy Lord spoke through gritted teeth. In the highest seat, the tightly closed eyes of the Sword God Ancestor slowly opened, his face remaining entirely expressionless. Having cultivated to such a realm, there were few things left in this world that could stir his emotions. The thief is neither a saint nor a saint king. The Sword God Ancestor spoke with a slow, deliberate cadence. The Heavenly Sword Holy Lord curled his lip. He well knew that no saint or saint king would stoop to such a lowly, dishonorable deed. The opponent likely possesses a saint tool that can conceal their aura, one so potent that even I am unable to detect their presence. Stunned, the Heavenly Sword Holy Lord remarked, in this desolate wilderness region, aside from our Heavenly Sword Holy Land and the Kangwu Holy Land, where else could a saint be found? But before he could finish his sentence, a realization suddenly struck him. Fury erupted in his eyes. 2 days ago, a saint tool appeared at the Pavilion of Heavenly Secrets, sending shockwaves throughout the entire desolate wilderness region. The Heavenly Sword Holy Lord suspected that this was connected to the Pavilion of Heavenly Secrets, as immediately after the saint tool's appearance, the 10,000-year Wuyu of his own holy land had vanished. These two events were highly likely to be connected. Could it truly be the Pavilion of Heavenly Secrets? This old man only needs to ask one question to find out. I originally intended to let them remain bold for a few more days, but I did not expect them to dare touch what belongs to me. Now I shall see exactly what sort of backing this Pavilion of Heavenly Secrets truly possesses. As he finished speaking, an unparalleled sword intent erupted from the Sword God Ancestor. This sword intent condensed into a physical spirit sword, tearing through the void in an instant and hurtling straight toward the Pavilion of Heavenly Secrets. At the same time, Chen Beishuan returned to the Pavilion of Heavenly Secrets in high spirits, immediately steadying his mind. He stepped inside the pavilion. I was bowing my head, practicing calligraphy, seemingly already aware of Chen Beishuan's return. I halted my movements and looked up, asking with a smile, "Have you obtained the 10,000-year Wuyu?" Reporting to the Pavilion Master, I have not failed your expectations. Standing before me, Chen Beishuan showed none of the wild arrogance he had displayed at the Heavenly Sword Holy Land. Very good. It seems you have gained other rewards as well. I set the brush down and gently blew on the wet ink upon the Xuan paper. Hearing this, Chen Beishuan's eyelid twitched violently. He hurriedly retrieved 2 spirit herbs, each several 100,000 years old, from his storage ring. Indeed, nothing in this world can be hidden from the Pavilion Master. These are 2 spirit herbs plucked from the candle dragon seed. I simply took them in passing. System. 2 200,000-year-old spirit herbs detected. They can be exchanged for 40,000 heavenly secret points. While spirit herbs of several 100,000 years are rare, their value still pales in comparison to saint-grade herbs. However, I merely spared them a glance and did not accept them. I calmly stated that both the 10,000-year green vine and the azure fruit would be beneficial for his cultivation. Take them. Since I have decided to invest in Chen Beishuan, I will not let a mere pittance of heavenly secrets points discourage him. A man must possess a grand vision. To scramble for petty gains is beneath one's stature. Seeing that I did not force him to relinquish the 2 spiritual herbs, Chen Beishuan was momentarily stunned. This gesture earned me a flicker of genuine goodwill from him. Many thanks, Pavilion Master. Go to the inner hall to refine them. As for the 10,000-year carefree flower, once you have fused it with your soul, I shall provide you with a list to begin assembling the Heavenly Secret Guards, I said with a gentle smile. Chen Beishuan nodded and cupped his hands to take his leave, but just as he prepared to depart, a cry of astonishment echoed from outside the pavilion. Senior. A moment later, a figure rushed into the Heavenly Secret Pavilion in a panicked state. The visitor was the Great Elder Bing Yuanzi of the Ice Profound sect. After departing the Bamboo Dragon Grave, he had returned immediately to his sect, hoping to restore the ancient ice veins that had long since withered. It was only after fully fusing the remains of the bamboo dragon with its essence blood that he realized the Bamboo Dragon Grave's secret realm had already concluded. This realization filled him with profound regret. Had he known, he would have come to the Heavenly Secret Pavilion at the very beginning to purchase the opportunity to harvest the Bamboo Dragon's spiritual fruit. Senior Bing Yuanzi burst into the pavilion and, upon seeing me, his eyes welled with tears. However, when his gaze drifted toward Chen Beishuan standing nearby, particularly toward the deep blue flower in his hand, his eyelids twitched uncontrollably and his legs buckled. nearly causing him to collapse to the floor. The 10,000-year carefree flower, Bing Yuanzi had heard rumors along the way. The 10,000-year carefree flower of the Heavenly Sword Holy Land had been stolen by a mysterious figure, and now it had appeared here in the Heavenly Secret Pavilion. Could it be that the person who infiltrated the Heavenly Sword Holy Land and stole the spiritual herb from right under the nose of a saint is the very person standing before me? Observing Chen Beishuan closely for a moment and discovering that the youth possessed only the aura of the Void Mansion realm, Bing Yuanzi was further shaken. It was rumored outside that a saint, or perhaps even a saint king, had stolen the 10,000-year carefree flower. Who would have expected that the true thief was merely at the Void Mansion realm? You may withdraw for now. I looked at Bing Yuanzi and said calmly, "Understood, Pavilion Master." Chen Beishuan cast a brief glance at Bing Yuan. Witnessing this scene, Bing Yuanzi's heart skipped a beat and his pupils constricted to the size of pinpricks. So, the reason that Wufu Realm Cultivator was able to steal the myriad human carefree grass was entirely due to the senior. The senior could actually enable a mere Wufu Realm Cultivator to deceive a saint. Just what kind of terrifying figure is he? Elder Bing, have the ancient ice meridians of the Bingshuan sect been restored? You have come to invite me to be a guest elder again. Elder? I replied with a mocking smile. Hearing this, Bing Yuanzi was overcome with embarrassment. With the heaven-defying means possessed by this senior, the Bingshuan sect is nothing more than a trivial speck in his eyes. Senior, please stop joking. Those were merely the ignorant words of a junior. I beg you not to take them to heart. Bing Yuanzi hurriedly cupped his hands in a strained, awkward smile. I waved my hand, and a chair materialized out of thin air behind Bing Yuanzi. Only then did I calmly ask, "Elder Bing, what brings you here this time?" Having gained experience from the first encounter, Bing Yuanzi was no longer as flustered as before. After sitting down and steadying himself, he spoke softly. "It is like this junior wishes to purchase an opportunity to unlock the divine storehouse." Currently, he had reached the peak of the tribulation transcendent stage. Although his ancient ice meridians were restored, as long as he continued his cultivation, the eventual opening of the divine storehouse was certain. It was simply that the timing of when that moment would arrive remained an unknown. If it were before, he would not have felt much, but now that I have such opportunities readily available, who could resist? So you desire the opportunity to open the divine storehouse. I gazed toward Bing Yuanzi, his information hovering before my eyes. Compared to before, nothing had changed, except that his inner wish had been updated to desiring the opening of the divine storehouse. Senior, I understand the rules. Do you find these spiritual herbs and materials of sufficient value? Bing Yuanzi chuckled and retrieved 5 jade boxes from his storage ring. Inside 3 of the boxes lay 3 spiritual herbs, each tens of thousands of years old. Of the remaining 2, one contained a scale of a bamboo dragon. Jing discovered that 3 spirit herbs, each 200,000 years old, could be exchanged for 60,000 Heaven Secrets points. Jing discovered that the dragon bamboo materials could be exchanged for 20,000 Heaven Secrets points, totaling 80,000 points. It seems the obsession of this ice elemental child to unlock his divine treasury is not small at all. I pondered internally, searching for the appropriate serendipity for the ice elemental child to unlock his divine treasury. There are a total of 390 locations, referred to as the Heaven Traversing Palace, requiring the expenditure of 10 million Heaven Secrets points to view the specific details of the serendipity. The Jade Pool Sacred Land requires 8 million Heaven Secrets points to view its specific serendipity. I scanned through the list, unable to suppress a click of my tongue. Those familiar sacred lands appear in the search for serendipity every single time, and the cost required is astronomically high. I truly wonder just how powerful these sacred lands are to be able to hoard so much of the world's serendipity. The Heavenly Sword Sacred Land requires 40,000 Heaven Secrets points to view its specific serendipity. Upon seeing the final entry of information regarding the serendipity, I was momentarily stunned. It was the Heavenly Sword Sacred Land again. They had just lost a 10,000-year carefree flower, and now they intended to gift the ice elemental child a serendipity to unlock his divine treasury. I must admit I am beginning to feel a sense of sympathy for this Heavenly Sword Sacred Land. Just as I was about to examine other opportunities, as if having sensed something beforehand, I suddenly raised my head. A moment later, a sharp streak of sword light tore through the void, abruptly embedding itself into the floor of the Heaven Secrets Pavilion. A spirit sword manifested and a violent sword intent swept forth, as if intending to cleave the very heavens and earth asunder. Sensing this terrifyingly formidable sword intent, the ice elemental child's expression changed drastically, and his body was instantly sent flying. When the ice elemental child looked back, the spirit sword gradually dematerialized, coalescing into an elder with crane-white hair and a youthful complexion. The elder possessed sharp brows and bright, piercing eyes, his hands clasped behind his back. Merely by standing there, he resembled a sharp blade capable of piercing the firmament, causing others to avert their gaze. When he recognized the elder's appearance, the ice elemental child's legs turned to jelly and he felt an urge to collapse to his knees, especially as he sensed a strand of majestic, dignified aura emanating from the elder. The Sword Saint Ancestor, one of the 2 saints of the vast wilderness domain, a cultivator of the Sword Tao, the one with the most overwhelming offensive power, the patriarch of the Heavenly Sword Sacred Land. The halos surrounding his person were so numerous that the ice elemental child was only worthy of offering a bow of reverence. Yet, why would a figure of such stature appear at the Heaven Secrets Pavilion? One glance was enough to tell, for anyone who is not a fool could see that this saint did not come with kind intentions. Could it be that the senior of the Heavenly Secret Pavilion has some conflict with this saint? After the sword god ancestor appeared, his sword-like gaze swept across the surroundings, passed over Bing Yuanzi, and finally rested upon me. You are the pavilion master of this Heavenly Secret Pavilion? The sword god ancestor spoke coldly, his tone devoid of any discernible emotion. Trespassing into the Heavenly Secret Pavilion without permission is not a wise course of action. I glanced at the sword god ancestor, took a sip of green tea, and spoke indifferently, seemingly entirely unconcerned. The person standing before you is not a saint. If you return the 10,000-year carefree grass and personally come to the Heavenly Sword Holy Land to atone for your crimes, I can treat this matter as if it never happened. The sword god ancestor ignored my rudeness, continuing to speak with a tone that sounded like a command. Regarding this, I gave a cold chuckle, turned my head to look at Bing Yuanzi, and said, "As for the opportunity to open the Divine Storehouse, I can tell you." I waved my hand, retrieving the 5 jade boxes before me, converting them into heavenly secret points, while Bing Yuanzi was caught between laughter and tears, unable to suppress the fear in his heart, and did not dare to answer. "Senior, is this really the time to discuss the opportunity to open the Divine Storehouse? Standing before you is a saint. Investigating the opportunity of the Heavenly Sword Holy Land will cost 40,000 heavenly secret points. Investigation successful. Within the treasure pavilion of the Heavenly Sword Holy Land lies a piece of nether profound ice marrow, which can assist Bing Yuanzi in opening his divine storehouse. Note, the Heavenly Sword Holy Land has entered a state of total alert due to the loss of the 10,000-year carefree grass. Methods for infiltration. Tap to view details. Seeing the system's introduction, the corners of my mouth curled slightly upward. Originally, I did not intend to continue provoking the Heavenly Sword Holy Land, as it is, after all, an ancient holy land of the vast wilderness domain. As long as the Heavenly Secret Pavilion and my own strength have yet to fully mature, I should not engage in a direct confrontation. However, since the sword god ancestor has shown such respect, if I do not teach him a proper lesson, how would that justify the effort he spent traveling such a long distance to visit the Heavenly Secret Pavilion? I inscribed the information into a jade slip and threw it directly to Bing Yuanzi. Immediately after, I raised my head and looked straight at the sword god ancestor, saying with a radiant smile, "I have heard that the Heavenly Sword Holy Land possesses a piece of nether profound ice marrow, which is an excellent item for opening the divine storehouse. Elder Bing, please feel free to go and retrieve it." Bing Yuanzi had just... Hearing my words, his hand trembled, causing the jade slip to plummet to the ground. His entire body went limp. At this moment, Bing Yuanzi looked at me, then turned his gaze toward the sword god ancestor, nearly on the verge of tears. "Senior, do not frame me like this. If this were a mere fortuitous encounter within the Heaven Sword Holy Land, that would be one thing. But the holy ancestor of the Heaven Sword Holy Land is standing right before you. What could you possibly mean by uttering such words directly in front of the sword god ancestor? Is this not tantamount to issuing a formal declaration of war against a saint and a supreme holy land? I am but a lowly cultivator at the tribulation transcendent stage. If a battle erupts, I shall be the one crushed in the crossfire." The expression on the sword god ancestor's face had turned unimaginably grim. Within the void, the sound of swords humming resonated incessantly. I spoke those words directly before him, and the implication could not have been clearer. However, before the sword god ancestor could utter a response, he saw my finger gently brush the rim of my teacup, catching a single droplet of tea before flicking it outward. That green droplet tore through the void, moving with lightning speed to pierce directly through the space between the sword god ancestor's brows. Boom, his glabella was penetrated. The sword god ancestor's form trembled violently before finally exploding. He was, after all, merely a remnant soul. "Wait until your true body arrives before you dare to speak," I said coldly. Beside me, Bing Yuanzi watched the sword god ancestor fade into nothingness, gulping hard. His mind was blank, and everything else had become a blur. Now he felt only one thing: the heavens of the Mongguang domain were about to change. Sen Senior. It took a long moment for Bing Yuanzi to recover his senses. He picked up the jade slip from the ground, which undoubtedly contained the secret to opening the divine treasury. Yet to Bing Yuanzi, it now felt like a scorching hot coal, and he wished he could discard it immediately. "Senior, perhaps you could offer a different fortuitous encounter?" Yuanzi took a deep breath, asking with extreme caution. He truly lacked the courage to steal the nether profound ice marrow right under the nose of a saint. If he were alone, it might have been different, with no burdens to hold him back, but he had the Bingshuan sect behind him, along with tens of thousands of disciples. Once the Heaven Sword Holy Land's nether profound ice marrow was stolen, they would undoubtedly aim their blades at the Bingshuan sect. The Bingshuan sect lacked a saint to anchor it and was absolutely no match for the Heaven Sword Holy Land. Bing Yuanzi's gaze inadvertently flickered toward me, wondering if refusing this senior before him would invite a calamity of extermination upon the Bingshuan sect. It was possible. The Heavenly Secrets Pavilion has always valued its reputation above all else. Naturally, we would never force a transaction. Facing Bing Yuanzi's uncertainty, I offered a faint smile and spoke softly, as if the matter of sending a challenge letter to a saint just moments ago had never occurred at all. Yet upon seeing the smile on my face, Bing Yuanzi's heart began to pound, and a trace of madness quietly took root within his mind. As for the resources of the wild desolation domain, the two great transcendental holy lands occupy 80%, leaving the remaining sects and powers to scramble for the final 20. Those two saints are like massive mountain peaks, pressing down so heavily that no one has been able to lift their heads for 10,000 years. Now that a mysterious and unfathomable Heavenly Secrets Pavilion has emerged, why not place a gamble? If successful, I could unlock my divine hidden potential and perhaps in the future even ascend to the rank of saint myself. If I fail, given the current power of the two great holy lands, the annexation of the Bingshuan sect is merely a matter of time. It is a gamble worth taking. This insane thought, once born, grew frantically, rooting itself deep in his heart and causing Bing Yuanzi's expression to turn grim. A moment later, Bing Yuanzi's demeanor suddenly grew calm, as if he had reached a decision, and he said in a deep voice, "Wait, there is no need to trade for the opportunity anymore. I am willing to make a trip to the Heavenly Sword Holy Land." Seeing the resolve in Bing Yuanzi's eyes, I was slightly surprised and asked indifferently, "Have you decided?" "Yes." Bing Yuanzi nodded firmly and continued, "But before that, I wish to purchase one more item from you, senior." I seemed to have anticipated what he was about to say, and with a flick of my finger, another jade slip descended before Bing Yuanzi. This formation is called the Myriad Dragon Soul-Devouring Array. It utilizes the remains of a bamboo dragon as its core. As long as the remains do not dissipate, the formation will endure forever. It shall safeguard your sect and keep it safe from harm. I bestow it upon you. This is a complimentary gift from our previous calculation of the bamboo dragon opportunity. No additional heavenly secret points are required. Staring at the jade slip before him, Bing Yuanzi was stunned. The Myriad Dragon Soul-Devouring Array, was that not the saint-level formation that covered the bamboo dragon basin? Bing Yuanzi had experienced this saint-level formation firsthand. Its terror was such that even if a saint arrived in person, they could not hope to break it. Could it be that the senior had prepared everything in advance? If I had insisted on trading for the opportunity earlier, would I not have missed out on this saint-level formation? So my gamble has truly paid off? Clutching the two jade slips, Bong Yuanzi was visibly overjoyed. Unable to contain the delight in his heart, he immediately cupped his hands and said, "Many thanks to you, senior, for this formation. Please await the good news from this junior." With those words, Bong Yuanzi bowed and took his leap. After Bong Yuanzi departed, I rose to my feet, hands clasped behind my back, and strode out of the Heavenly Mystery Pavilion, casting my gaze into the distance. The Heavenly Sword Holy Land, is it? Although I had long prepared myself mentally, the rise of the Heavenly Mystery Pavilion would certainly not be a smooth journey. Once the interests of those in power are encroached upon, resistance is inevitable. It is just unexpected that so soon I have already forged enmity with one of the supreme holy lands of the Mongguang domain. On one side is a foundation of profound depth, a supreme holy land that has dominated the Mongguang domain for 100,000 years. On the other is a rising reputation, the Heavenly Mystery Pavilion, which has not yet truly taken root in the hearts of the people. It seems that things are becoming increasingly interesting. The corners of my mouth curled upward. Even when facing the Heavenly Sword Holy Land, I felt not a shred of pressure, but rather a sense of intrigue. The tasks at hand are to enhance my own strength, and to establish the Heavenly Mystery Guards. First, I must sow the seeds of the Heavenly Mystery Pavilion throughout the entire Mongguang domain. My journey ahead will not be confined to this minuscule Mongguang domain. Thinking of this, I stirred my consciousness. Opening the system interface and added to the previous balance, the Heavenly Mystery Points had long since exceeded 80,000, enough to purchase the second level of the Wuxi Manual. Ding! 50,000 Heavenly Mystery Points consumed. The second level of the Wuxi Manual has been successfully purchased, capable of cultivating up to the pinnacle of the Daogong realm. The very next moment, I felt an immense surge of memories flood into my mind. The spiritual energy within my body began to circulate autonomously according to the paths of the Wuxi Manual. Rumble. As the spiritual energy surged, the heavens and earth suddenly trembled violently. Spiritual energy within a 200-mile radius went into a frenzy, converging madly into my body. Due to the excessive speed and the massive volume, a gargantuan vortex, visible to the naked eye, formed in the sky above the Heavenly Mystery Pavilion, and within that twisting vortex, dark clouds gathered, obscuring the very sky. Suddenly, countless bolts of lightning cascaded down like a waterfall, converging into a massive phantom projection. This phantom projection, born with 6 arms, each clutching a long spear forged from condensed lightning, its visage was ferocious, appearing akin to a deity. Such a massive disturbance naturally caught the attention of Bing Yuanzi, who had not yet traveled far. Upon turning back to witness the venerable lightning god phantom, his pupils contracted, and he knelt in reverence immediately. If the aura felt from the Sword Saint ancestor was a majesty so imposing that one dared not look directly at him, then what he sensed from this lightning god phantom was pure destruction, pure power. This is the distinct aura of a god. Yet, even this venerable lightning god, standing between heaven and earth, had to bow its head when facing the small figure before the Heavenly Mystery Pavilion. A god bows its head. Is this a vision born from the senior's cultivation? Bing Yuanzi muttered to himself, what level of strength is required to trigger such a terrifying anomaly? Bing Yuanzi could not fathom it, nor did he dare to imagine, but he knew that his grand gamble this time had undoubtedly been the right choice. Take me back. No, the 10,000 dragon soul-devouring formation must reach the Heavenly Sword Holy Land immediately. I absolutely cannot allow the senior to be disappointed. Bing Yuanzi clenched his fists, stood up with difficulty, bowed deeply toward the Heavenly Mystery Pavilion, and his figure flickered, vanishing from the spot. While I was in the midst of my breakthrough at the Heavenly Sword Holy Land, the Sword Saint Ancestor suddenly snapped his eyes open. A saint's aura erupted, engulfing the entire Great Hall. Sensing the extreme rage radiating from their ancestor, the expressions of the Heavenly Sword Holy Lord and his subordinates changed drastically. They hurriedly knelt to the ground, not daring to draw a single breath. What could have happened? Was the ancestor not sent to investigate the Heavenly Mystery Pavilion? Why is he so enraged? Could it be that the ancestor? The Heavenly Sword Holy Lord raised his head with great difficulty, his forehead beaded with sweat. A saint is defined as such precisely because their strength and state of mind have long reached the pinnacle of cultivation. It is hard to imagine what could have occurred to cause a saint to lose his composure to such a degree. A moment later, the Sword Saint Ancestor took a deep breath. Calming himself, however, his grim expression still betrayed the fires of fury hidden within his heart. Such a meager remnant of a soul possesses no qualifications to pass judgment on the Heavenly Secret Pavilion. Before that remnant soul dissipated, my voice continued to echo in his ears. A saint standing in his full glory. Since when has he been treated with such contempt by a member of the younger generation? To have his saintly dignity challenged was an experience he had not encountered in many tens of thousands of years. Yet despite his fury, the Sword God Ancestor had not lost his reason. In the end, I used a single drop of tea to shatter his divine soul, proving that my strength was in no way inferior to his own. As a saint suddenly appeared in the wake of his anger, the Sword God Ancestor furrowed his brows deeply. How could a saint emerge from the desolate wild plains without anyone noticing? Ancestor, what has happened? The Sword God Ancestor withdrew his aura. The Heavenly Sword Saint Master and the group of elders let out sighs of relief. Unable to contain their confusion, they asked, "Did the Master of the Heavenly Secret Pavilion truly tell you that he intends to steal the nether profound ice marrow?" The Sword God Ancestor spoke with brief, concise words, but to the ears of the Heavenly Sword Saint Master and his followers, it sounded like a thunderbolt from the clear sky. Did the Master of the Heavenly Secret Pavilion dare to speak such words to the face of the Sword God Ancestor? Was he issuing a challenge to a saint? Where exactly did he find such courage? This person is not simple, his strength is no less than mine. Just as the Heavenly Sword Saint Master was about to voice his mockery, the Sword God Ancestor coldly stated that his strength was not weaker than his own. If that were the case, did it not mean that the Master of the Heavenly Secret Pavilion was also a saint? The Heavenly Sword Saint Master's lips trembled, but in the end he could not utter a word. These two words, a saint, seemed to possess a magical power. No one dared to incur the enmity of a saint, not even the Heavenly Sword Holy Land, despite its profound foundation. That all beings below the level of a saint are but ants is no mere saying. The elders fell silent, and no one dared to clamor anymore, attempting to crush their opponent with the prestige of their holy land. Only a saint can defeat a saint. But in the wild plains, the Kangwu Holy Land was still lurking nearby like a tiger eyeing its prey. Should the Sword God Ancestor meet with any misfortune, the Heavenly Sword Holy Land would be in grave danger. Perhaps it would be safer to move the nether profound ice marrow out of the treasury, which is guarded personally by the Ancestor. Surely, that Master of the Heavenly Secret Pavilion would not dare to pull teeth from the mouth of a saint, would he? An elder proposed. The Heaven Sword Holy Master barked a rebuke to act in such a way. Would that not signify that our Heaven Sword Holy Land is gripped by fear? If word of this TNG pavilion spreads, where would our grand holy land place its face? There shall be no more debate. The Sword God Patriarch watched the group below as they verged on a heated argument, and spoke calmly, "I shall personally guard the treasury to see what methods this pavilion master of TNG truly possesses." With the Sword God Patriarch having spoken, the elders below could only offer their agreement. Over the next several days, the Heaven Sword Holy Land entered an unprecedented state of alert, as if they were about to face an extinction-level threat. 2 holy grade formations were fully activated. Holy Land disciples patrolled in rotating shifts, and the Sword God Patriarch himself stood watch, guarding the treasury with defenses as solid as iron walls and copper ramparts, ensuring that not even a fly could hope to slip inside. It is truly difficult to imagine how anyone could bypass these layer upon layer of checkpoints to silently spirit away the nether profound ice marrow. The Heaven Sword Holy Master stood before the Grand Hall, took a deep breath, and said in a low voice, "The net is cast. Now we need only wait for the fish to bite. It has already been 7 days of waiting." 7 days later, Bing Yuanzi silently appeared before the gates of the Heaven Sword Holy Land. A holy grade, truly, it is a holy grade formation. Even with the detailed layout information I provided, it still took him 7 full days to penetrate. Nether profound ice marrow, are you? Bing Yuanzi looked up at the Heaven Sword Holy Land, which appeared as beautiful as a celestial realm, and even from a distance he could sense the profound danger concealed within. He instinctively gripped the white jade pendant in his hand. This was the Taihu profound jade pendant I lent him before his departure. I hope it serves its purpose. Bing Yuanzi activated this half-step holy artifact, engraving the movement method stored within the jade slip deep into his mind. With the determination of one courting death, he stepped into the Heaven Sword Holy Land. As time slowly passed, the atmosphere within the Heaven Sword Holy Land remained incredibly